shack at. The bottles getting nifty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon. We be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy 2024 to all of you. A brand new year and new gambling possibilities out there. We got a lot of things going on here at Pub. First off, we have our playoff pool, NFL playoff pool, $50 entry. It starts, of course, next week with the wild card week. Each week, your picks have to be in by Friday at midnight. And it's basically, there's 13 games in the playoffs. And it's 13 slots, basically. You have the 13th being your most confident. Your bottom one, your one was just for 1 point. Your 13 gets you 13 points. You can only use each slot once throughout the whole Super Bowl, and it's not against the spread. It's just win-loss. So we're trying this out. Playoff confidence pool. Picks have to be in by Friday at midnight each week, and $50 entry. And we're excited about it. So we hope that everybody signs up. It should be up on the website today, and we'll be talking about it a lot. And then talking about 2024 and gambling possibilities, we're 10 weeks away from Pubapalooza, baby. 10 weeks away from all of us at the Southtown 101, celebrating the first round of the NCAA tournament, celebrating sports gambling together in a state that doesn't allow it. Perfect, man. I mean, you want to be a place where we're welcome with open arms, or do you want to be in a place where we got to sneak around, be very quiet about it? Honestly, I'd rather it be legalized. I'm just trying to reframe the situation here. But with the new owners of the Dallas Mavericks, I expect it to be legalized very, very soon. It's great to see all you guys. We have a great show for you guys. 2 NHL games. We're going to fire those off with our man, Mikey the Mac Daddy. Then we have college basketball best bets by not just Conor Mac, not just Daby Cab, but also Mikey Money. So we'll have 3 different cappers giving us their best bets in college basketball. And then we get into NBA. And looking at these records from our guests, what a great run we've been on. As a group, we've been on a really, really strong run, and we must continue it here in 2024. Stakes are high, man, and I'm excited. So to give you guys an idea of what's coming on in college basketball, CMAX got Georgia Tech, Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Northern Iowa, Missouri State, Stanford, UCLA, California, USC. Daby Cab has Seton Hall, Providence, and he's also touching on Clemson, Miami. And then Mikey Money is also touching on Seton Hall. So you're going to get 2 looks on the biggest games on the card from our 3 cappers. And then Mikey Money's also on Mercer, East Tennessee State, Xavier, Villanova, St. Bonaventure, VCU, and NC State, Notre Dame. And then you'll get a second look at Stanford, UCLA from Mikey. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Then we have this monster NBA card with Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutch coming off another winning day in NBA. He's 24-19, hitting at 55.8%. I've slipped up a little bit or come back to earth. I'm 36-24 in NBA plus 10.27 units. But my last college basketball bets on Friday, more board sweepage there. So I'm 25-9 in NCAA basketball. And don't forget, I was 4-6. So I've cashed 21 of my last 24 college basketball bets. That's pretty exciting. So let's keep that going. But I did not move without you guys. So I'm ready to get back in business. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Thank you for running with us. I'm so excited about what we're doing here at Pub, man. I'm so excited. I just, I'm inspired. I just feel like the possibilities are really limitless. And the idea that we're all going to get to hang out together in 10 weeks is pretty special. So I'm really pumped up. I'm really excited. I like what we're doing. I like the money I'm making. And I boosted my unit size a little bit. And I hope to do it again next January 1st. And I hope just to slowly do that on and on. And it's been a good start. It's been a good start to the year. It was a great December. So let's just keep it rolling. Shout out to Justin McKelvey. Stacks play today. Providence over 136.5 for our guy Justin. Can't wait to hang out with Justin in San Antonio. Let's get this locked in here. So that will be the first game that Dabra Kadabra breaks down. Mr. Vape in the house. EuroLeague basketball, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Virtus Bologna. First half and full game for Mr. Vape. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mr. Vape, my guy. Get this ready to go, and that's copied and pasted. Vipe NB, there's Fly White Mike in the house. Dan Kelly says Brooklyn, Orlando, OKC on the road, and Memphis at home are playing their 6th game in 9 days. Second on back-to-back. New York, Dallas, and Phoenix all at home are playing their 6th game in 10 days. Wow. And of the 7 teams playing second game of back-to-back today, OKC and New Orleans Pelicans are going home to road. Let's copy and paste that right here. Great stuff, Dan. I'm looking forward to cap this giant NBA card. We're hoping to get that started in an hour and 22 minutes. So we're hoping that will start at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So let's get that locked in here from our Dan Kelly. There's my guy WT in the house. Philly Eagle Flyer Viper NB. He's got player props that he is moving on. My guy Perky in the house. Happy 2024 to you, Perkster. Let's get that right here. Ian Shaber rolling, Dan Kelly, Swiggy Bets in the house. Swiggy Bets, Joseph Thompson. We got Joe T ready to get to work. Morgan Spooner says, what's everyone? Love the college basketball card today. Has me excited for some good Big East ball, a few home underdogs in the ACC, and a Stanford fade spot from Morgan. D. Jenkins, Michael Johnson, Nasty Nate. Dylan K says, Patriots, Bills, Texans, super lock. Okay, super lock. If you don't like the term lock, welcome to super locks. Dan Kelly says, so the team you think will win the Super Bowl should be the most confident pick, and the 6 teams that you think will lose this weekend should be the least confident picks, right? No, you only pick the winner. If your most confident pick, you'd put on the 13. If that's going to be your most confident pick, I've done confidence pools before. There's different strategies, but your most confident pick will hit that 13 slot. You get 13 points for it, and then 12, 11 down. So if you're going to take a big dog, I mean, it depends how big of a confident spot you want to put it. It's only winners only. So you think the team you think should win the Super Bowl be your most confident pick in the wild card round? That team probably isn't playing because the Ravens 49ers aren't playing in that first round. Maybe you want to save that first 13 spot and 13 12 spot for the Niners first game and the Ravens first game, or maybe there's a wild card spot that you love more than the others. So we'll keep talking about it, and it'll be real simple. The rules are really simple. They'll be up there. Lucas Ryan said Circa put out Ravens or San Francisco to win the Super Bowl -115. That is wild. There's Coin in the house. Series business ready to get to work. Jay Smooth in the house. The Nuke Worker, Morgan Spooner, Kelly McInnes, the Chosen One. Let's copy and paste the Chosen One's action. Get this right here. So this is the Chosen One dropping his college basketball looks for us. Let's make sure that is ready to go for when CMAC. CMAC, we're going to start with NHL. CMAC coming off a really impressive show last Wednesday. He very quickly moved into the black on the season. Kong's Clips, that pool, $50, $50 American. Lucky Lefty in the house. There's BT. Great to see all of you guys. Jacqueline ready to get to work. So let's do exactly that. Let's get into NHL right now and bring on your star of Wednesday shows here on Betting with the Bag. Also the star of the Peter Loshak show on Tuesdays, as well as our Hitting the Books college football show all season long, and our big Saturday NCAA live stream, which will also be Sunday and Monday live streams for us this week. We have the huge Bills-Dolphins game on Sunday night. That will be a live bet stream. And then, of course, the National Championship on Monday will also be a live bet stream. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Migda Mac Daddy in the house. T-Mac, how are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good, Jimmy. It was a good last few days. A good bowl season, too, to end the year. Shout out to everyone that watched our videos. They were excellent. Shout out to Jose, everyone that clips them. Preston, everyone in the back, hitting the books, very successful. Appreciate it.
Very, very successful. Great job. And you were very successful right here with us last week. in NHL. You went 4-3, which sounds like just an okay day, but plus 3.27 units. You hit some bombs. You hit the Ducks plus 220. And now you are in the black. So let's get right to work. Now, we are both barely in the black at this point. Now, you only have Wednesday action, so it's not a true example of where you're at, but you are plus 0.08 units. I'm just plus 0.23 units. So we are in the black. Now it's time to get to double digits in the black. So let's get to work right now. We start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with the New Jersey Devils 19-14-2, 11-6-0 on the road at the Washington Capitals, 18-11-6, 9-4-4 at home. Christopher Carter in the house. Great to see you, Chris. Jay Peasy ready to get to work here. Vitek Vanacek versus Hunter Shepard, the 28-year-old undrafted Hunter Shepard. You know, I have a soft spot for goalies like this. 6 feet tall, undrafted, 28-year-old journeyman, hilarious-looking guy. And the fact that he looks so funny is not something I have a soft spot for. But I do have a soft spot for these 6-foot goaltenders who nobody wanted to scout. It's if Dennis Hildeby is starting for the Leafs, which we're not sure if Martin Jones is going to go back-to-back or Dennis Hildeby's 6'7". Right, so every scout trying to see, of course he was picked in the 4th round, but this weird-looking dude is 6 feet tall, and nobody wanted to scout him, and he's been very, very good. This year at Hershey, it's Hershey, right? I believe it's Hershey for Washington. He went 14-2 with a 2.28 goals against average, 908 save percentage, and that's no surprise for him. Last year, he went 28-5 with a 2.18 goals against average, 916 save percentage in the A. So he's earned this opportunity, an opportunity that he is getting because Charlie Lindgren's out with an upper body injury. The Devils' power play is at 30.3%, penalty killing at 77.7%. Washington power play at 12.2%, penalty killing at 81.7%. Just 2 games in NHL, and then we'll roll into college basketball. First off, we'll touch on this total. It's at 6.5. It opened up minus 107 to the under. Now it's minus 112 to the under. A 5-cent move towards the under. And then on the money line, we have New Jersey at minus 162. It opened up at minus 156. Wow. Geez, there's been a huge move. A huge move in the last 20 minutes. Another move 2 minutes ago. Sorry. It's now at minus 175. So we now have a 19-cent move at Pinnacle. Let me refresh that so that is clear. So here we go. I do not want to fade Hunter Shepard. I do not want to back Vitek Vanacek or whoever is in net for the Devils. I don't think the Devils are a particularly good hockey team right now. I just want to fade the Washington Capitals every single chance I get as much as possible. And here, it's probably not the perfect time to fade them. Devils have been off since the Saturday night 5-2 loss at the Bruins. Are they sitting in that anger? I don't know if they are, with the New Year's Eve and everything that has happened in the last few days. I don't know if they were sitting there, champing, ready to get back here. It was the second half of road back-to-back. It did snap a 3-game losing streak. They still have issues with Timo Meier, Curtis Lazar, and Thomas Nosek out. And, of course, Dougie Hamilton going to be out for the rest of the year, which will give them the $9 million. And I can't wait to see what they do with it. The Capitals are on the second half of back-to-back after snapping their 4-game losing streak last night with a 4-3 win at Pittsburgh. Pacioretty could make a season debut. Look, if Pacioretty makes a season debut and they have Hunter Shepard in goal, this is not the perfect time to fade the Capitals, but I can't help myself. I want to fade them and fade them and fade them and fade them. They are not as good as their record indicates. You see 9-4-4 at home. That means they've won 9 out of 17 games at home in regulation. I don't believe they'll continue that. You look at 18-11-6. That's basically 500. It's basically 18-17. So I just don't think they're that good of a hockey team, and I want to fade them as much as possible. This may not be the perfect spot, but I did it anyways. I also had to do it before Pinnacle came out with a line for it. I knew that I was probably getting a bad line. I saw it. It wasn't open at Bet Online. I saw on some book or some sites that were saying where the line was at other books that I was probably getting the worst line. It was actually a minus 170 money line. Now, of course, I was building the minus 1 when I was betting it. It moved to minus 165 while I bet it. I looked at it this morning and it was minus 160. And then finally, Pinnacle came out at like 7 in the morning, but now we've seen it move to minus 175, which is something I'm happy for. I was just hoping that would be the case. We're back at minus 170 and plus 145. That's exactly where I got it. So, I got it at minus 165. So when I was putting it in, it was minus 110. It moved to minus 165 before I sent it out. So that made it a -1 at minus 108. Kyle Hintley in the house, the truth teller, Sunny Springs. Great to see all you guys. Take it away, C-Mac. This is my only bet in NHL right now on today's card, although I am very interested in the next game. And that is the Devils -1 at minus 108. Floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, let's talk about the Capitals, with that game just yesterday with the Penguins just came out. And it's tough for me to figure out the Penguins a little bit, They just have these flaws and bad periods. We saw it right out of the chute because the rest of the way they outplayed them. I mean, Washington in the end, Jimmy, only had 22 shots on that. They just jumped out, and that's the best first period I thought they looked all year with the Caps. Here's the deal. All year long, I haven't took, since probably the first week or so, I haven't took New Jersey at this price, and I don't want them. I get why you want them here with the Capitals on the back-to-back, and it's just how I brought up. I don't know how the Capitals are doing it. They're just getting by. And you talk about the young goaltender, and good for him because it's always a big deal to see if they can make the difference with these goalies, especially younger ones, from the jump and have success from the AHL to the NHL. So yeah, in the end, I had to stay off. You know what I liked in this game? I just didn't love it. I don't know what we see from the Caps tonight is the under 6.5. But the history with these two just seemed to be a lot of goals. We saw the over last night. How are the Caps look tonight? Are they kind of tight like they've been playing? Or do we get more goals again and this slips over? I was a little worried of that. And like you talked about, Caps, a great under team all year. And for me, the few times I took them, New Jersey played more to the over. They're 22-12. So it just kept me off. But I was leaning strong to the under here.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know if the Devils are a team that I ever really want to be on under. It's just their goaltending. It's not necessarily their play. And when Darren Thompson says no value, look, I get that too. But here, I have a plan, and it's been working. And there's certain teams that I want to fade every opportunity I get. And much like I wasn't betting on the Packers last week. I was fading the Vikings.
Yeah.
I just want to fade the Capitals. This is not a bet on spot, and I completely understand why you haven't been backing the Devils. I completely get it. But and even on the second half of a back-to-back, I don't know if that's a perfect spot to fade the Capitals here, because they had that little break over the holidays. But just I'm going to fade them as much as possible. So there we go. There's Sean Pulliam in the house. Let's roll on. We'll see if C-Mac adds an under. He's going to have time to talk about it. And let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. The Toronto Maple Leafs 17-10 and 7-8, 3-5 on the road. The Anaheim Ducks 13-23 and 6-14 at home. Honda Center in Anaheim, California. The big question, and it was debated last night in between periods by the talking heads, was whether or not Martin Jones is going to go back to back here. Or we'll see Dennis Hildeby, the Hilda Beast is his nickname, 4th round pick in 2022. This is his first year playing outside of Sweden. For the Marlies, he's gone 7-5-3, 2.20 goals against average, 919 save percentage. I watched the game last night as soon. I didn't watch the first period. I was kind of getting my NFL together, and Sonny, I love it, man. I was replying to you, but I had to re-sign in as myself and not Pub Sports Radio, so I've got that fixed up. But I love Sonny that you're back in this fade the Caps as much as possible. Here, Martin Jones is playing very, very well. I don't believe it. He's always been good against the Kings, and maybe I should have taken that more to heart last night. I was on the Kings -1, and the Kings didn't play very well. What I was really taken aback by was how clean the Maple Leafs are playing. Mm-hmm. After the controversial Kampf sit, they rested Kampf when he's in the midst of 300 and some odd game Ironman streak, and it's not it's Kampf. I think is playing fine. I mean, one bad giveaway, and I didn't like the move or whatever, but they just seem to be playing perfect road hockey here. Perfect road hockey. And I would love to fade that here. You play the Kings, who I think are the best team in the league, and then you go play the Ducks, who are sitting here 13, 23-0. I also would like to bet the over. Troy Terry is out with an upper body injury. He is a big part of this offense. They're still missing centerman Leo Carlson and Isaac Lundstrom. So, look, I would like to back the Ducks. I would like to back the over. And I don't know at this point if I get to either. The big move towards the Leafs here at Pinnacle minus 185 to minus 201. This got up to minus 205. There was no move until about an hour and a half ago. And then from a total standpoint here, we have a 6.5 minus 127 to the over. It opened up at minus 129. I've seen the Leafs do this. I've seen them in this group of players play real average up and down hockey, then go on the road, especially the West, and sweep a Western trip. You know, they're capable of tightening up, and when they do, we know the kind of offensive talent they have. So that's why I haven't moved on yet. I'd love to hear your plan. Philly Eagle Flyer on Leafs money line, the over 5.5. So that's the spot for Philly Eagle Flyer. Wine time in the house. Fanatical Jim looking at Ducks team total over 3.5 plus 175. Robert Franklin looking at the first period over for Ducks Leafs. Take it away here for us, C-Mac. Leafs, Ducks.
Yeah, the classic Leafs. You know it well, Jimmy. And you just what you said. They've gone on these West Coast trips and kind of swept it and come back home over this group in the last, 6 years or so. And then they have a win like that, which they've done that before, and like they'll go and have just a great game and look great defensively like they did last night. Everyone played well, and then give up 5 tonight to a Ducks team that's just waiting for them. So I agree with you. The juice is a little high, but I like the over. We had the Ducks last week. We went back to them. I think you did as well. Against the Yotes, they lose 2-0. I went right back to the over, and the play was the Oilers too. They just have the Ducks number. They just have for years and years and years. I jumped right on it. I put a ton of money on it, and it was pretty easy. I think it was 7-2. So that's what I feel here. I think the Leafs can get some of theirs, and I think the Ducks can score some goals. Waiting here in a good spot. I'd like to take them money line. I just haven't done it. I want to feed you any bullshit if I haven't bet it.
Who would you prefer to have in goal for the Leafs?
I don't think it matters. You want Jones in?
I would prefer Jones, old Jones on the second half of a back-to-back rather than this Hildebeest making his first ever start, because I would be concerned that the Leafs step up defensively in front of Hildebeest.
Yeah, just them stepping up. It can happen, but I don't think it's consistent.
It's not, but we saw it last night. No, I hear you.
Yes.
I agree with the look on the over. I don't know if I get there. Are you going to get there? Let's see what the best line we can give you on the over. Just move back to the over. There had to be a move to the under, so minus 127 over at Pinnacle is the best we can give you.
That's all right. I kind of want to take the Ducks. This to me though, the spot, everything's kind of lining up, but this seems like this should be 210 a little bit. Even though I do, that's not like complaining about the price with the Ducks. I just think we should be getting a little more with them, even with the Leafs on the back-to-back here.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I almost, I truly envy the cappers that don't watch the games. Watching the second and third last night of the Leafs playing this perfect defensive sound hockey. The Kings didn't have that many chances. It's not like the Kings were robbed or there were no posts or crossbars or anything like that. There was that one goal that was called back, but it probably wasn't the right call. I mean, the whistle had gone. So, look, I'm nice. Kent got the -1 at plus 104. Wow, nice job. I saw that available at some books off the hop. But yeah, this is it. I don't think I move on it at this point, but I lean to the over. I'd be interested in the Ducks. but I don't want either. They certainly didn't go out and party in LA last night, with the back-to-back. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm off. Is there anything you want to make official here?
Yeah, give me the over.
All right, we got the over from CMAC, an over that I'm still interested in, -127 right now at Pinnacle. So I'm on the Devils -1. I got -108. Nice to see Kent Davies get that +104. There's Matty Ice in the house. And Philly Eagle Flyer sprinkling on exact goals in that Caps game at 6 and at 8. But that is NHL for you. So let's get into college basketball. Again, college basketball, I'm on this ridiculous 21-3 run. It's so good that I won't bet alone. I won't bet alone. I can't stop doing exactly what's happening. We swept the board on Friday with another 3-0 day as well. So let's keep this rolling. So let me set things up. Why don't you touch on what you saw in NCAA last night as I get this all set up for us, C-Mac?
Yeah, I have to touch on, shout out to the people in the chat that had it. I think Cav had it. I didn't have a play on it. It was North Carolina. I thought that was a good win to start ACC play. A team that could do this on the road, lay numbers like that, and consistently win in places like Pittsburgh. I thought that was a good win. Pittsburgh too, ice cold from 3, and that is their problem. I thought that was a big win last night. Duke looked really good. Big 20-point win. I had nothing on that game, but it was solid. That was it for me in college basketball, really.
Well, we have a big card set up for you here. Lots of opportunities. So we're going to have CMAC, Daby Cab, and then Mikey Money going one after another here with college basketball best bets. We have an hour set aside for this before we get into NBA. And we've heard from cappers in the chat already, Chosen One being one of them, who has moved on Georgia Tech. So let's get to work. 7 p.m. Eastern, ACC action. Georgia Tech 8-4, 1-0 on the road at Florida State, 6-6, 0-1 at home. We're in Tallahassee for this one. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have, again, we're going to switch over to Bet Online for our line history. And we thank everybody who is in our Bet Online poker tournament. 48 cappers we had in the tournament. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Dexter Pope. He's our first 2-time champion of our poker tournaments. Shout out to Dex. It was great job by Dexter Pope cashing it. And we think we're going to do another one in that week between the conference finals and the Super Bowl. Looks like we're going to be doing another one. We're in talks for that right now. So thank you to everybody that was a part of it. That's going to create a situation where we can do it again. And also, if you need a new account at Bet Online, you just go to our website. And if it's a brand new account, they will give you a 100% match, a bonus up to $1,000, which is a pretty nice deal there. So here we go. We're going to go with Bet Online. We know they get to the market the quickest. This opened up at 4.5. It dropped to 4, and it's back at 4.5. So we have just a 2-cent move over to Georgia Tech here. From a total scenario, let's get this up. I'll have both these pages up here in a second, which will make things move a little faster. From a total spot here, we are sitting at a 144. It's -114 to the over. This opened up at 144, dropped down to 143, and we're back at 144. So we have had a 9-cent move to the over, a 2-cent move to Georgia Tech, but we haven't left the number. So not a ton of movement here. It's a pretty clean board. So let's take a look at where the cash is for this one. 46% of the tickets and 70% of the cash is on Tech, but the line's not moving towards them. And then we have no information on the total. That's just 1,477 tickets in. Speaking of Tech, they come off having their winning streak snapped at home versus Nevada. And this was a long time ago. We're talking, they have not played since Christmas Eve. Georgia Tech, will they be ready to go off the hop? Were they sitting in anger over this loss for very long? Probably not. Nevada is a good basketball team. They came in 11-1 and moved to 12-1, and we're 6.5-point favorites. So it's not like they're sitting there angry about the loss. You had Christmas and New Year's since then. Now, Florida State may be different because they had their modest two-game winning streak snapped. at home versus Lipscomb. So Lipscomb, who had only, won once away from home in 5 tries, heads down to Tallahassee and beats them outright as 8.5-point favorites. Lipscomb was up 46-31 at the break. So, I mean, is this an angry Florida State squad, or is this just a bad Florida State squad? A shout out to Res Mob with us. There's Dav Fenn, who says wrong team favored, Georgia Tech money line. Let's hear what CMAC has to say. Again, these experts that we have on the show have picked the games that they're moving on. So this is not just content for content's sake. These are games that have been bet. Take it away, CMAC, Georgia Tech, Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State was just awful on that game Saturday. Yeah, I just watched the whole thing, kind of the game cast when we were live doing the football game. Kind of the same old Florida State, just not very good. Turnovers, sloppy. They're not a great shooting team and not great defensively at all is this team. Early on, they had the good win against Colorado. I think they lost by 8, North Carolina. I thought they were doing well. To me, though, flip side, Georgia Tech, I've been impressed with this team. I've been impressed with Damon Stoudemire, what he's doing here at Georgia Tech. He's just kind of really turned them around. The tough thing is, both the teams off a loss, you mentioned. I mean, if Florida State was off a win, I'd love this even more. But they're both off a loss. And someone just put in the chat, I think you just read it, Georgia Tech's the better team, and I got to go off that. I was really hoping I just would hit a 5. Put 4.5 is fine here. Bane Ndongo, this guy's for real. Have you seen him play, Jimmy? The big man for Georgia Tech?
I've watched a bit of it, but I haven't watched the full game.
He's the real deal. I mean, this big guy is athletic. He's great. If you haven't watched some of this. And I think Georgia Tech's better defensively. In this one, you talked about the long layoff. Might not be great, but we're getting 4.5. I got to take it. I got to take the 4.5 here with Georgia Tech.
Well, let's lock it in here for you. And I agree, it would be nicer to have Florida State not beating themselves up over that.
That was the lone thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, these things aren't always going to work out absolutely perfect where everything correlates. So I get it. We're getting a plus 4.5 at minus 108. Let's lock that in for CMAC. Plus 4.5 and minus 108. And that's how he gets his card started. A lot of Georgia Tech love in the chat. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. So 3 of these games, we're going to hear 2 different cappers' views on it. This is the first one, because we're also going to hear Daby Cab's thoughts on it. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the number 16 seed Clemson Tigers going up against the Miami Hurricanes at Watsco Center in Coral Gables, Florida. Both teams opened up their ACC accounts with victories, and both teams have started out the year strong. 11-1 for Clemson, 10-2 for Miami. We last saw Clemson on Friday at home. They destroyed Radford. They have that glaring loss at Memphis 79-77, but a lot of wins surrounding it. The U have won 3 straight, and they're coming off destroying North Florida by 40 points. They are beating teams badly. Now, they did lose at home to Colorado 90-63, but now we're talking almost a month ago. These games have been really spread out for both of these teams with the holiday break. So let's go into the line history here for this one. Take a look at the cash flow and then hand it over to CMAC. This game pops off at 8 p.m. Eastern. And right now, Bet on a Line has this with Miami as a 1-point home dog. This opened up as a pick'em. Miami got up to +2 at 423 yesterday. And now it's sitting at +1. So we still have a very slight move towards Clemson over at Bet Online. And then on the total, we are sitting here at 155.5. It opened up at 155. This opened up yesterday at 3 p.m. So very, very little. A half-point move when this line's been out for so long is not very much. We get to the cash flow here for this one. On the total, you have 89% of tickets and 92% of cash on the over. It's only moved a half point. Then you have 57% of tickets and 66% of cash on the U, and it's moved a point towards Clemson. Shout out to our guy Leonard Porch Jr. in the house. The chosen one is leaning Clemson, says Miami swept them last year. I'll go over the chosen one's action once more at the end of our college basketball, but that's the only spot he has that we're discussing on our show. That him and CMAC are together on Georgia Tech. But here we go. Clemson, Miami. Take it away for us, CMAC. Watsco Center.
Yeah, this should be good. Two teams that have come out hot, especially Clemson. Two teams that just have been great scoring. Two great three-point shooting teams at the top here, top five, both of them. But this is one, I think, Clemson might want to get a little revenge from last year. I had to touch on Pack is questionable with this. He still has this back injury. I don't have any news on if he's going to go or not, or if he's going to be ready. I have to look into that with Miami. And real quick, Miami 8-0 at home. That Colorado loss was neutral, right? Jimmy, that I have. That was on neutral floor. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to double check that was. I think it's 8-0.
Yeah,
Clemson.
Yeah,
I think it was somewhere a tournament in Florida, though. I think it was.
No, it was in Brooklyn. Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Miami here at home. I got to take them. This is the fade. I talked about a few weeks ago. Clemson. As soon as they hit the road, I wanted to fade them. They lost to Memphis. It was a good game, 79-77. And that's why I got to fade them here. I've seen Clemson do this year in and year out. Are they going to be a little bit better on the road? I don't know. I think Miami is a play here. Give me a money line. And to the total here, I lean the over. I see this at 155. I haven't bet that yet, but I might have a play on this over as well.
We have a lean towards the over. Let me get over here and set this up. So let's lock you in for the money line on the U. Let's get over here. And we got you. Here we go. A lot of love for Miami in the chat. Perfect rotation, though, on the other side says, I bet Clemson here with zero hesitation. So, but Matty Ice has been saying in the chat, Miami by double digits. So let's lock you in. Miami, the best line we can get you. It's a plus 100 at Heritage.
Real quick.
Yeah.
The fix is in the interior defense of Clemson. So's Miami, though. That's why I think this game gets over, especially how well these teams shoot it. But I'll wait on the total here. It hasn't really moved, but in the 150s, I think this can get over. Real quick on that.
You got it. Miami plus 103 with a lean to the over. Let me move over here. Lean. Over. All right, let's move on to the next bet on the board. 9 p.m. Eastern. We head to the MVC for this one. Northern Iowa Panthers 6-7, 0-2 in conference. At Missouri State Bears 9-4, 1-1 in conference. Missouri State with a strong basketball team must make Deacon Mike very pleased. A great Southern Bank Arena in Springfield, Missouri is where this one is popping off. Northern Iowa has won 3 straight and beating up teams. Prairie View beating up badly, beat up Alcorn State, then beat up Northern Illinois at Northern Illinois, 76-63. Now, we're talking December 21st was Northern Iowa's first game. Always tricky when these teams have been off such a long layoff, but they won by 13 as 3.5-point favorites in their last start. And then we have Missouri State in the exact same spot. They haven't played since December 23rd, and it was an extremely impressive win at St. Mary's. So that was a long time ago, and I don't know if they can carry that over. 13.5-point dogs was Missouri State, and they really put themselves on the map with that victory. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with line history-wise. Let me get back to spread. I'm sitting here on the money line. And let's roll. So this one pops off again at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we have, where is it? Here we go. We have a Northern Iowa right now is 2.5-point dogs. 2.5 minus 110. This opened up at 2.5, went down to 1.5, went down to 2. Now we're back. The initial move, though, was towards Northern Iowa. Then when we have the total, we're sitting here at 143. This opened up at 144.5 and has dropped 1.5 to 143. We take a look at the cash flow for this spot. We'll start with the spread. From a spread perspective, 53% of the tickets and 63% of the cash is on Missouri State. That first move was towards Northern Iowa. From a total look here, we have no information, but we've seen it drop. So the question is, can Missouri State continue the momentum off that huge win against St. Mary's, or have they been sitting here fat and happy over the holidays thinking about how good they are? A very interesting spot here. Take it away for us. Kent Davis says Northern Iowa has covered his favorites the last 3, but we are sitting here with Missouri State as the favorite. Take it away for us, C-Mac. Interesting one that you picked in the MVC. Take it away.
Yeah, Northern Iowa, I thought, it's played pretty good basketball dating back to when they beat Richmond, which I had that game. They lost at Toledo by 4. 3 straight wins. Both these teams off big breaks. So they're both, I think, a little bit rusty. Who just put in the chat, was it Billy? The home court advantage, yeah, in the MVC is big. And that's why I like Missouri State here. I really wanted 2. Nothing over 3. There's 2.5s everywhere. I'm all right with that. I want the team at home with the better defense, and that's Missouri State. I also like this under. I worried Northern Iowa's played more to the over. Missouri State played a ton of overs early on, Jimmy, but as we get into conference play and some of these other teams that they played and their defense starts to show, I lean strong to this under. That's at 142. But at home here, I backed Missouri State a lot the last couple of years at home. As long as we have under 3, lay the 2.5 here, Missouri State.
Locked in. Missouri State minus 2.5, minus 108. That Missouri State minus 2.5 number is market wide. Every book sitting there with that 2.5. Let's move on to your next spot on the board. We are also going to close our college basketball with Mikey M. So we're going to see here 2 different looks on this game. 9 p.m. Eastern, we head to the Pac-12. Stanford Cardinals 6-6, 1-1 the Pac-12 at UCLA. Bruins 6-7, 1-1 in the Pac as well. And we're at Pauley Pavilion, a place where nobody is going this year. Very low numbers attendance-wise for this Bruins squad. And, of course, Stanford coming off their 3-point shooting barrage. Let's take a look at the rest situation here for this one and then go over the line history. But here, Stanford coming off that huge win on New Year's Eve at home over Arizona, 182, snapping a 2-game losing streak. I should have been 4-0 on Friday. Arizona State, I wanted to back. We talked about it, and I have no excuse for not moving on it, but I didn't. And then UCLA, they win at Oregon State 69-62, then lose at Oregon. That was on Saturday night, 64-59. A little easier to cap these teams because they're not off of a break. They have been playing. So let's take a look here at what we are dealing with from a line history standpoint. We have at BetOnline UCLA minus 4.5. They opened up at 4.5, and the first move was towards Stanford. Went down to 3.5. Now we're right back at 4.5. Then from a total perspective, we have this sitting at 137.5. It is juiced to the over. It opened up at 138.5, got up to 139 before it dropped. So we are so recently we watched Stanford shoot 64% from 3 and 58.1% from the field. Can we actually sit here and expect them to not kind of come back to earth? Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. And then here, CMAX breakdown. We have 94% of the tickets on the under, only 2,100 in, and we don't know the cash flow, but 94% of tickets on the under. And then you have 82% of tickets and 79% of cash on UCLA. That's a lot of tickets and money on UCLA for this line not to be moving. Robert Franklin says UCLA minus 4.5, bad spot for Stanford, fat and happy. I hear that, but that's a lot of money on UCLA with this line just standing pat. The Fix is in says books are telling me they don't care what Stanford did. Yeah, I agree. That is what the books are saying. Let's hear what CMAC has to say about it. Take it away. We're at Pauley Pavilion for this one.
Yeah, that just is one of those games of college basketball where they just one. It's not changing the opinion, of the Bucks over Stanford. UCLA, though, as of now, I don't want to lay points with them until I see them start to score the basketball and shoot it better. Now, Stanford's a defense that's not great, but I don't know. UCLA gets past 70 really here tonight. This offense has been horrible. They struggle to shoot the three. This is a team that it's rough to watch at times, is UCLA. But they're here at home. Stanford on the other side. They're not a great team, that shoots it well. Obviously, they've had a few games, but and they do shoot the three all right around 37%. But UCLA's defense has been solid all year. That's the one thing they've had to that they got. They got to keep games in the 60s. They don't play fast. They don't have the scores. So I'm on the under here. Give me the best number. If I can get a 138, I'd be all over it. I still think there's value at that number. Under.
And Noli Knows jumped in the chat with an under look in this one as well. We have a 138 and minus 115. I'm curious to see if I can beat that at Pinnacle. What did you say you were trying to get under?
138 is good.
138. Let me see if I can get that less than minus 115 here quickly. Head over to Pinnacle for this one and see what we have. And get over to college basketball. All right, so we have a vouch here from our Noli on CMAX. Look on the under. Let's get here quickly. Sorry, 9 p.m. start. Here we go. And from a total, just 1 second. Okay, so we have this total at here we go again. 138, yeah, minus 116 here. So do you want the under 138 minus 115?
Yep.
Under 138 and minus 115 for CMAC and Stanford UCLA. All right, let's move on to the final spot on the board for our Conor Mac, 10 p.m. Eastern. We have the California Golden Bears 4-9, an ugly start for them in Pac-12 play, 0-2, and an ugly start for the Trojans as well. These Trojans are 0-2 in Pac-12 play, 6-7 on the season. Let's take a quick look at what we are dealing with here from a rest situation with USC favorites at home at the Gallen Center. We have back-to-back losses at home. They lose for California. They lose by 19 against Arizona, and then they lose by 2 at against Arizona State. Excuse me. Both those games were at home. They had a 4-game homestand, and they only beat UC San Diego. So they lose back-to-back to Arizona and Arizona State on Friday and Sunday. USC lost on that trip through Oregon. They lose 82-74. They were getting destroyed in the first half, and they came back in the second half. And then they lose at Oregon State by 16. That was on Saturday. A pretty ugly performance. No bounce back. They were 8.5-point favorites. And again, they got destroyed right off the hop, down 9 at the break. So pretty ugly stretch for them. Do they bounce back here against Cal? Let's take a look at what we are dealing with right now. It did open at 6.5. They claim we have 7s and 7.5s on the board right now over at. Wow, this opened much bigger. Jeez, I didn't realize this. This opened at 2:49 p.m. at 10.5. 11 minutes later, it was at 9.5. 10 minutes after that, it was at 8.5. Then, interestingly enough, it went back to 10. Jumping all over the place. Now, then it got to 7.5 last night, and then it jumped back up to 9. Very interesting market movements. But we're now sitting.
It's 7s everywhere right now, though, right?
Yeah, 3. No, there are some 7.5. 7.5 a bookmaker and some others, but a 3.5-point move towards Cal here. 3.5-point move towards Cal. Then, from a total standpoint, we are sitting here at 151.5. This opened up at 152. It got up to 153.5 before it started dropping. So a wild market movement here in this one. When we take a look at the cash flow, you have 92% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the under, which is wild. And then you have 17% of the tickets on USC, but 52% of the cash. Interesting. 83% tickets, 48% cash on Cal. This is wild. Take it away for us here. Pac-12 action, Golden Bears, Trojans.
This was the hold for me.
Yeah.
Jimmy, at this stat, if I still had 9.5, I'd be on Cal. It's not anymore, so I've lost the value there. USC is in trouble right now. This team can't stop anything, anywhere. I mean, I was on Oregon State on Saturday. We gave it out on the show, and that was easy. Just flat kick their ass. They're playing no defense. SC's 10-3 to the over. Cal's 9-4, and this isn't the Cal of the last few years. This team's getting up and down. Normally, I'd look at this game we talked about yesterday with conference play starting. I'd be all over the under, and a lot of people are, but I can't back it here at all. I got to look the other way. The side I can't do now, as much as I like Cal. I can't take him at this number. Give me the over here. Give me the best number you got. I think SC gets in the 80s. I think Cal's in the 70s, and we get over this total.
Robert Franklin also liking this over, but this just in. The taint play of the day is in, and it's USC. Taint play of the day, USC -7. Shout out to our guy, Smoke and Mirrors, renewing his membership.
Yeah.
We love you, Smoke, our guy. Taint play of the day is USC -7. And our guy, Matty Ice, says that he loves this market move, loves the market move towards Cal, loves it so much that the taint play of the day is USC -7. Let's grab the total.
Taint.
Here.
Shout out to Matty Ice.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Matty Ice going to be running with us in San Antonio. So it's
yeah.
long overdue, us all hanging out with the star of the taint play of the day. While we're doing this, let's grab this total. So we have a 150.5 at Bovada. They're the only 150.5 right now. So let's give you that. Over 150.5 for CMAC. Over 150.5 at -110. Locked in. All right, let's review CMAC's action in college basketball. He's on the over 150.5 in Cal USC. He's on the under 138 in Stanford UCLA. He's on Missouri State -2.5 at -108. He's on Miami money line at +103 with a lean to the over, and he's on Georgia Tech. G-Tech. +4.5 at -108. Love it, CMAC. Thank you for rocking with us, my friend. Get that cash. In NHL, he's given us the over 6.5 in Toronto, Anaheim. And love it, man. Love it. So we have a big weekend ahead. You have your big college basketball live stream on Saturday. We have Dolphins, Bills on Sunday. And then we need you badly for the national championship on Monday. So make sure you are available for us on that Monday, especially pregame, because we're going to do a big look. Even if you want to jump on and then take off for a bit kind of thing, because we want to get looks from people for everybody for pregame. So however you want to handle it, but we need you Monday very badly. Thank you for rolling with us, CMAC. Any last words for the Capper support in the show, my guy?
Yeah, Monday real quick. I'll be there. And yeah, let's figure out I got to check the schedule for the Saturday games. We can do that, I guess, later today. But shout out to everyone. Rod Z, man, Hot Rod, Matty Ice, Nuke Worker, as always. And shout out to everyone in the green that fixes in Smoke and Mirrors, renewing his membership, Robert Franklin, all you guys, Morgan, Christopher Comentini, Justin, Joseph, Billy. Fuck yeah. Let's go, baby. Let's cash. Peace.
Let's get that cash. There he is. Please follow him on X at Conor Mac Picks. Let's move on to our next guest. What a performance, what a clinic he has put on this year on our show in college basketball, hitting the highest profile basketball games and hitting them at 64.5%. He's 20-11 plus 8.13 units, ROI plus 26.23%. Oh, and Res Mob, the winner was again Dexter Pope. He's won 2, I believe, of our last 5 tournaments. Dexter Pope was our winner, and shout out to you, Dex. And we're gonna have another one here very soon. Here, I think in between the conference finals and the Super Bowl. I'm going to try to implement the rule changes that I wanted to in the last one. But we had 48 players, so we're moving in the right direction. We're really excited about it. Let's bring on our next guest. I just talked about his ROI over 26%. Please welcome from Dallas, Texas. You can run with him in San Antonio. Please welcome our guy, Mr. Dabra Kadabra. Daby Cab, how are you?
I'm good, Jimmy. I'm good. College basketball is my favorite time of year, man. It's hard to find me not in a good mood when we got college basketball. So I'm ready to get on there and make some money today. Everybody in the chat, man, shout out to you guys. Good to see y'all in here. You know, we took a couple L's. We're sitting at 20-11, but I took a couple L's last show, so you got to bounce back right now.
Let's do that. It was a rare losing day for you here on the show, but still you are leading by example. So let's get right to work. You start with a big one. Seton Hall Pirates. Big East action for you. 8-5, 1-1 in conference play at the number 23 ranked Providence Friars. We're in Providence, Rhode Island, home of Nasty Nate. Also, home of Nasty Nate's son's high school basketball team that we are raising money for. If Jose, if you get a chance, if you could pop that into the chat at some point here during the show, raising money for little Nasty Nate. And if you could help anything, just $5, anything you can would be wonderful. No pressure, but if you can, Low Bag Fam, we help our own, we help each other. Seton Hall coming off a loss. Now, we've not seen either of these teams for a long time. Neither of these teams have played since December 23rd. This is not like the Pac-12 that's been in action. Seton Hall coming off an ugly 74-54 loss at Xavier. They were 4.5-point dogs. They shot 13.3% from three, 32.4% from the field. They were awful. And it really wasn't until late. I mean, Seton Hall was sort of in this game. I mean, this was a 41-40 game before they lost by 20. So Seton Hall falling apart late against Xavier, but there's been a lot of time in between. Providence coming off 4 straight wins, the last one being at home against Butler, but that came on the heels of them beating Marquette. And there was a bit of a hangover. I mean, they needed overtime to get past Butler, but they've now won 4 straight at home, and they're there right now. Let's take a look at the line history here for this spot. From a line history standpoint, this is an early one. This one pops off at 6:30, and we have Seton Hall right now as 6.5-point dogs. Providence opened up at -5, and if you follow Daby Cab on X, you know who he moved on, and he got in early because this at 5 this morning was at 7.5. Even at 2 in the morning, this was 7.5. There has been a point of buyback back to 6.5, but we have a 1.5 move towards the Friars. And then from a total side of things, quickly move over here. From a total side of things, we are sitting at 135.5. 135.5 at a pick 'em over at Bet Online. This opened up at 137.5 and got up to 139. So an enormous amount of buyback late that kind of came out of nowhere. So 87% of the tickets, 75% of the cash on Providence. We saw a 2.5-point move, now a 1.5-point move. And from a total side of things, it's a 50-50 spot. 51% of tickets, 52% of cash on the under. You wouldn't think that the market would have moved so heavily if that was the case. This got up to 139 and then dropped. And Billy Frieder says, need to put a bounty on Dexter Pope's head. Yeah, I like that. Shout out to Joe T, who put a bounty on his head, too. What a class act. And Woo Rizza says, big bounce back spot for USC. Get right spot. I hear that, but that's a huge move against them. 3.5 points. Woo.
That basketball team has some serious problems.
It's going to be fun to watch them, see if they can figure it out. Both LA teams look bad right now. That's not good for college basketball on the West Coast. But take it away for us here, Daby Cab, Seton Hall, Providence, in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah, good news. We're on the east side here, so we don't got to worry about that West Coast crap that's going on here right now. Home court's a big factor early on in the Big East. I mean, we know home court in college basketball plays a big factor always, but in the Big East, it seems to play even more. Providence, they're comfortable on their home floor right now. Jimmy, 10-0 on the home floor this season. 2-0 in conference. They've got the win over number 6 Marquette. They've got the win over Butler. And here's my thing. College basketball, one of the main things that I like to look at is how players match up inside. I love good guard play, teams like Miami and things like that, but also how people match up inside. And I think Providence is going to take, full advantage of a Seton Hall team that's very guard heavy here. Even Devin Carter, who's only 6'3", Providence's best player, but he plays big. He battles inside. He's pulling down 7.9 rebounds per game. And then you got Hopkins, you got Oduro, two players that can score inside for Providence. And Seton Hall, they don't have the depth to match up against that size. So I think Providence uses their size and length to dominate, defensively. The reason the total's so low, is because they are the 6th most efficient defense in the country. And that's going to cause problems for Seton Hall. And then if they're able to score inside, I just think Providence at home takes this one running away. So I got 5.5. I didn't get the 5. 5 was up there, but as soon as I saw it start moving, I jumped on that 5.5.
You got it. Providence. And was that with regular juice?
No, I had to pay -117 for it.
Providence -5.5 at -117 for Daby Cab. Let's move on to your next spot, Cab, and it is the Clemson-Miami game, where at first it was all people, backing Miami, which CMAC was on. And then we had Clemson backers come out of the woodwork. So there are some people here on Clemson. Let's see how you are hammering this huge game that pops off at 8 p.m. Eastern. Clemson Tigers at Miami Hurricanes.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First off, all we know is questionable for Nigel Pack and Poplar for fucking Miami, which is like 40% of their offense. From what I've read, and I've read some, news articles like in Miami and shit like that, I think Pack's going to play. He practiced on Monday, and, coach said he thinks that he should be 100% today. If he's making comments that he thinks he should be 100% today, not, 95 or should be close to 100, I think he's playing. So I think we got Nigel Pack. I don't know about Poplar, but that makes a big difference. I hope that he's healthy. This game, I think the line is telling. If I'm being honest, I thought CMAC would get up here and be on Clemson. I'm glad that he's on Miami. I'm shocked that I'm seeing, Miami supporters here, because in their big step-up game against Colorado, they played like shit. I mean, they didn't just lose. They got absolutely dominated on both ends of the court, up and down the court the entire game, just slapped back and forth the entire way. And it was hard to watch. I will say one thing, though. This is a different Clemson team, so I don't like touching on too much of the past. But the Hurricanes have gone 3-0 straight up over their last 3 meetings with Clemson, and 5-0 ATS over their last 5 games against Clemson. And this season, Miami is still 7-5 ATS, and Clemson is 8-4. So both these teams have been making people money if you've been betting on them. And neither team has played really an exceptionally difficult non-conference schedule, to be honest. And both these teams, if you look at it, they're coming off cupcake wins right now too. So, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. I, coming in, thought Miami was a top 15 team without question. I think that their interior, I think Omir, and I think some of their other players need to start playing a little bigger, and they need to be doing a little more. I'm going to go back with that train of thought one more time. I'm going to give Miami one more chance here. I've only bet against or on Clemson one time this year. Okay, I had Memphis. I know you remember that because that shit was tight. Clemson is a good basketball team, and I get it. I still think Miami has top 15 talent. Oh, and the freshman that's going to step in for Poplar also, he's an NBA prospect already. I forgot he's from Europe. I forgot what country over there, but he can play. That kid can step up and play too. So it's not like a huge step off. So I'm going with Miami right here. I'm going to take the 0.5 point in the first half. Both these teams haven't played a while. They're on their home court. I think they come out early and get ahead.
Let's lock this in for you, Miami. So a different way. So we have CMAC backing Miami on the money line.
And I want to put this out there. I will be watching this game. And how about this, Jimmy? I'll tag you. One of the reasons I like to bet first half is because let's say Miami's down by 4 points and I want to bet them at halftime when the second half line comes out. I'm going to do that, right? And we will be live today. Dutch and I will be live for All About the Hoops. So make sure and tune in because this game will be on. And like I said, I'm taking this first half knowing that I will probably get involved in the full game at some point somehow.
Yeah, I get it. Daby Cab has moved on Miami plus a half. First half plus a half at -105. Daby Cab is locked in. And our big show is tonight, All About the Hoops live stream, basketball live stream. So you're going to hear Daby Cab, who's going to be hammering these 2 high-profile games. And then Dutch Boy Fresh, he's going to be here on the show breaking down the entire NBA card. So these guys are going to come in locked and loaded
And I got to throw this out there. It's not just Dutch and I. Billy has been there with us so far every episode. Our guy Trout Wham has been there. LJ has been dropping in. We've had some serious NBA and college basketball cappers. We're trying to bring the heat for you guys. So show up if you can.
Respect. 2 spots for Daby Cab, who's 20-11 here on the show, plus 8.13 units with ROI, plus 26.23%. We're going to give him the same line. Oh, no, because he went first half. So Daby Cab's on Providence, minus 5.5, minus 117. And he's on Miami first half, plus a half at minus 105. Crush it on the show tonight. You will also see him starring in our college basketball live stream on Saturday mornings. You also see Daby Cab on our big Monday national championship live stream. And of course, one of the stars of Medicate Mondays and a capper you can hang out with in San Antonio. Daby Cab, any last words for the capper sporting the show, my friend?
Get to San Antonio. Get your tickets, guys. I love capping with you every day. All of you have become family. We sit here and we break bread together. We chase money together. We're family. Now we need to actually sit face to face and have a meal together, have a joint together, So get your tickets. Pubapalooza 3. I want to see you guys there.
I love it. There he is. Dabra Kadabra. All right. So we've had CMAC give us best bets in NCAA basketball. We've had Daby Cab give us best bets in NCAA basketball. Now we have the host of Last Call Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern and the star of our many live streams here on Pub Sports Radio, coming to us from the dirtiest of Chesters, Rochester, New York. Please welcome Mr. Mikey Money to the show. Mikey, how are you, man?
Jimmy the Bag, what up? What up? Shout out to the chat. Shout out Pub Sports Radio. The gang's out here. Daby, saw CMAC out there. Let's kick some ass, man. It's time. New year, new money to build up, Jimmy. Let's get this cash. And you start with a game that has been discussed. So you bookend your show here with games that have been discussed. In between, you have 4 fresh, brand new games. But I have no problem hearing 2 different cappers' looks on a high-profile game. And that's what we have here. Seton Hall Pirates. And there's Nasty Nate in the house. Nasty Nate's Providence Friars. Yeah, what is your plan of action, my friend? Look, we got to go straight, short, sweet, to the point. 2 teams kind of moving in different directions here. Providence kicking ass and taking names at home. 10-0 at home this year. Daby talked about it being that home court advantage, and I certainly don't disagree. I know both teams are coming off of an extended rest period here, but I think that at the end of the day, the opportunity for Providence and the way that they rebound the football, the way they play the defensive game in themselves, they're just a strong team that's got it right at home. It's a difficult place to come in and play. They're 5th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency. And I think that number is key for this game, specifically because you think about this extended rest period and you got teams coming back. Is it going to be a little bit of rust when it comes to shooting? And you got to go on the road as well. Tough spots for Seton Hall, who, frankly, I got to wonder about the confidence with the Seton Hall team. You've got a team in Providence that puts a ton of points up out there. You've got guys that can play both sides of the football, or basketball rather, still got football mode on. And then at the end of the day, I'm looking at a 68-30 trend pointing towards this Providence side of things. So 6.5. I love that number. I think it's a great buy spot. If it was a little lower than that, I might be a little concerned that they're thinking coin flippy, but this is that sweet spot of numbers to come through and get the victory. And I think that's very much what happens here. The home court's just going to be too much for these guys. And, at the end of the day, when you look back at it, Seton Hall was about 2 weeks away from writing their entire season off. And they've had a couple of good breaks here. They lost 4 or 5 to start kind of December off and didn't get any wins against top 100 opponents. Coming back, I certainly don't want to dismiss what they did against UConn, but I think that's the high watermark. And, as we move forward here into conference play and we move forward to the tournaments, I think it's going to be Providence that starts to separate from the pack. They've already done it at home, and I don't see them having any challenge here with the Seton Hall team.
Locked and loaded. Our guy Marcus McCarthy, a season ticket holder, will be there. You got to have a drink with Nasty Nate at the dunk. Got to do that. He will be there live in person for Seton Hall Providence. Have an incredible time, man. That's going to be what a fun place to have season tickets, man. Respect. All right, so we have Providence being backed by both Daby Cab and Mikey Money. Let's line shop for Mikey Money. We have a 6 at Bovada now. 6.
Even better.
So 6 -6 is at -115. Let's just see what Pinnacle is doing on this one as well. Again, 6:30 early start. And yeah, you'll be able to get a 6 here as well. Interesting. So line moving back, you're going to get a 6 at -108.
Generally when I start seeing the line moving like that, it concerns me, but it doesn't in this case here. I just think when you watch how Providence has been playing basketball, they're hooping. They're not fucking around out there. And, again, you got a team like Seton Hall who goes through their spurts. Yeah, big win against UConn, but 6, if it goes down to 5.5. This is one of those spots where I'll continue to take it as it gets lower as we get closer to start time.
Let's roll on. And that's where you look for Nasty Nate. You look for him by the DJ on the floor. Look at you guys, man. Respect. Justin McKelvey says Seton should come in hot. Got to be pissed. We know what Providence does at the crib over, says Justin. I'd love it if we could get Marcus and Nasty Nate to meet up for a beer. It's just that nothing makes me happier than when our guys meet up at these big events. It just puts a huge smile on my face. All right, let's roll on to the next spot on the board here. And Fernando Mendoza giving you a shout out to Rochester, New York. Giving a
Fernando
shout out
Mendoza, my
to
God. Let's go.
The Dirty Chester. We move on 7 p.m. Eastern. We head to the Southern Conference. The Mercer Bears 7-6 opening up their Southern Conference account at East Tennessee State Buccaneers. We're at the Freedom Hall Civic Center in Johnson City, Tennessee. We are sitting here with East Tennessee State 5-point favorites at Bet Online. They open up at 4.5. We have a 0.5-point move towards the Buccaneers. Then we have this total at 136. It opened up at 136. It dropped down to 134.5 at 3 p.m. Then it came right back to 136. So we're right back where we started on the total, and we have a 0.5-point move towards East Tennessee State. Now, on the total, we have 75% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on the over. It was a very strange 1.5 drop, and then it came back. It's difficult to explain. Then we have 46% of the tickets and 80% of the cash on Mercer. 46 and 80 on Mercer, and yet this line has moved a 0.5 point towards East Tennessee State. Now, these teams have played. These teams both played on Friday night. Mercer's last 2 games were against Div 3 colleges that don't matter at all, but they were on a winning streak. They beat Georgia State. They beat Florida Gulf Coast. This is a team that's, playing okay. They beat Queens College or Queens University, excuse me, the Royals. So they were playing better basketball despite the fact that we have these 2 games against colleges that we don't care about. Eastern Tennessee State comes off of winning at East Carolina, 86-70. That came on the heels of a loss at Utah State. So a couple tough road spots for them. They went into East Carolina and beat them by 16. They beat them by 16 as 7.5-point dogs. Held them to 34.9% from the field and 16.7% from a 3. Jaden Seymour put in 24 in that one. So East Tennessee State looked good off of the break. Take it away for us here, Mikey. Mercer Bears, East Tennessee State.
You touched on a couple of things that I really will bring into light here with the South Conference particularly. And then you look at kind of these teams and as far as the recent tenure or the recent time off. And, East Tennessee coming back from a December 29th game, 7.5-point dog picking up a 16-point win against the suspect East Carolina team. Who actually held their own, looked pretty solid. If you look back at the game yesterday against, who was that? Was it Florida Atlantic, I think is who they were playing. And, so the fact that they were out there and able to put up 156 points kind of jumps off the page at me and says, here's something to consider because they were running and gunning out there. And, if you look back at how these teams play traditionally, these 2 teams in this contest, the last 10 times, the average total points that are being scored are around 134. So in terms of how this game's kind of benchmarked with this total now, we're a slight tick above that. But last season they had 138 points on the number. So you look at this and you kind of fast forward how these 2 teams have been put together this last season and moving forward now. East Tennessee's averaging 141 points a game. Mercer's averaging 140. And the fact that this number shows that a big dog taking down East Carolina comes out here as a 4-point favorite shows you that the books think East Tennessee is going to get the job done. And when you look at home, it's pace that's going on here with these guys. The Freedom Hall Civic Center now 9 straight wins for East Tennessee, but the number's tight. So it looks to me like this is a game where East Tennessee pushes pace, gets those buckets to drop for them because they've got that home advantage. But Mercer's not just going to roll over. Yeah, we've got 2 straight overs in a row on the road for East Tennessee. Now they come home with the confident sight lines, and then you look on the other side of things, and you've got a team where we're kind of buying low on the over for a Mercer spot that just took down Queens College, but that number was benchmarked at 150.5. The back number 150.5, suggesting high numbers. In fact, only twice in their last 6 have they had a number that's around this point here. So I think they confidently go over. I talked about the South and the conference itself. When you've got totals that are under 141.5 in the South right now, 37 and 18 run to the over. The average number we're seeing is 135. So this falls right into that benchmark or that index. 3.41s is the margin. So we're getting the thing to go over the number. Total ending around 140. And it's currently on a 7-1 run to the over. So East Tennessee home overs are 3-1. Mercer road overs are 4-2. Mercer certainly comes out there and brings the ball on the road. And I think East Tennessee comfortably does the same thing at home. So I'm going to drop this over. And frankly, I like this spot. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of a Bush League type of game. Not going to get a ton of attention, but I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game here. Wouldn't surprise me to see it tip up to 145, cover this thing comfortably by almost 10 points.
Over 135.5 in Mercer, East Tennessee State for Mikey money. We head over to Finneran Pavilion in Villanova, Pennsylvania. Xavier Musketeers, Big East action here. They're 1-1 in conference play, 7-6 on the season. At the Wildcats, who are 9-4, 2-0 in conference. We have Xavier bouncing back off of that loss at St. John's. They lost by 15. And again, these two teams have not played, both of them, since December 23rd, but they bounced back and they beat Seton Hall at home by 20. We discussed that game a little bit when we talked about the Seton Hall Providence spot. Villanova coming off 3 straight wins. Now that shock loss to Drexel, followed by that shock. Well, it wasn't that much. That was Drexel was the shock loss at home. Then they lose at Kansas State in overtime by 1. Come back, they beat a weak UCLA team at home by 9. They beat Creighton by 2 in overtime. That was a huge win. And then they just smash and grab DePaul, destroy them, by 36 points. So let's see what the line history is for this one and take a look at the cash flow. First off, line history wise, we are sitting here with Villanova's 8.5 point favorites. They opened up as 6 point favorites. It's just been a constant move towards them. There has never been any buyback whatsoever. From a total standpoint here, this game popping off at 8:30 p.m., we are dealing with a 141. It is juiced to the under. This opened up at 139, got up 139.5, back to 139. But then from that point on, this was at 3:20 p.m. yesterday. It's just been a constant move towards the over, and now sitting at 141, a 2-point move towards the over. So we have a pretty legit move to the over and a pretty legit move to Villanova. We have 70% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on Villanova. And from a total side of things, we have 59% of tickets and 57% of cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Mikey. Finneran Pavilion in effect in Pennsylvania.
A lot of fun here. Big East battle royale with these two teams, Villanova and Xavier. And, should be a lot of fun to see this thing here. I think the better team in this case is Villanova. Start the season and ask me, and I would definitely put them in a suspect spot. They had some questionable hometown losses to, Penn and St. Joe's. Drexel, of course, you mentioned as well. But those are crosstown rivals. And very much those teams, that was their Final Four. That was their NCAA championship. And they were picking off a team in Villanova that was just changing coaches, changing the guard, trying to figure out their identity, implementing their program. And I think those days are kind of behind them now. You mentioned the wins that they've recently had. All right, DePaul sucks, right? That's a shit team. 84-48, though. They didn't just come out there as a 10.5-point dog and cover. They whooped the doors off them boys. So certainly that DePaul win was a big factor for them. Creighton on the other side of things, huge win against a big Creighton team on the road, outright as 10-point dogs. So big spot there. UCLA, we'll talk about UCLA in a minute. Whoop the doors off of UCLA, which should be expected given the nature of that team and the makeup right now. But they're kind of getting their rhythm now. They've got the groove. They've got their players in key positions. They're getting healthy. And what I like, it's frustrating at times the way this team plays, but I like it because they go out there and shoot threes from everywhere. They don't care. They're not necessarily making them, and if they go cold, it struggles. That's what happened against the Penn, St. Joe's, and Drexel spots, is that they just couldn't get it done. But when you look at how they played against Kansas State and Memphis, those threes were falling, and that separation becomes wider. The other thing, when you look at the way these two teams match up, some people will use it against them that they only have 2 double-digit scorers on the Villanova side, but they're winning big games, which to me says they're deep. They're talented. They're playing as a team and stretching the ball around. They're not just relying on that one guy to go out there and shoot the threes. And I think the big separator or differentiator in here, look at how these guys match up. From the field, 41.3% shooting for Villanova, 44.6% shooting from Xavier. Negligible. That number for Xavier probably goes down because they're on the road a little bit. From the field, from the three-point line, 33.7% to 33.4%. Again, marginal or questionable advantages there. Again, I discount and take a little of that percentage down because it's a road spot for Xavier. But the big spot for me, and how do you come out there and cover a 7 or an 8 in a spot like this? It's at the foul line. It's when you're rebounding. It's the end of the game when it has to get dirty in the paint, and they start drawing those fouls. 81.9% free throw shooting for Villanova, 70.6% for a Xavier team. They're going to have all that shit going on in the background when those Xavier guys are shooting those free throws anyways at the end. Just going to be a tough spot for them to get there. And that's in addition to the 3-pointers and balls flying all over the place and hitting the hoop at home for Villanova. That free throw differentiator is a huge factor for me at the foul line. And I think that's how Villanova gets this job done. It's probably a 10, 12-point win for these guys. So lock me in. Let's go Nova. Go Cats.
Let's lock this in for you. Villanova. And Billy Figure saying Nico Dawes likely in net for the Devils tonight. I kind of like that. Maybe we're a little too early for Nico Dawes here. Maybe you want him to get more time, but God, you really want Vanacek in net? I mean, I'm okay with that.
No.
I mean, if we look at what Nico's done in Utica,
you're better off with a shooter tutor at this point than Vanacek. He's, the old shooter tutor where they got the corners cut out.
Oh, of course, man. Of course I do. But so I don't mind that. It's not bad. I mean, this is 3rd round pick in 2020. Why not see if the kid can get hot? But let's lock our guy in on Nova here and see what we can get him. See if we can get him an 8 here. We have 8.5s, a lot of 8.5s, and that's what we can do. Only 8.5. So minus 8.5, a minus 110 for Villanova for Mikey. 8.5, minus 110. All right, let's move on to the next spot for him. And we head to Richmond, Virginia, home of our friend Smoke and Mirrors. St. Bonaventure Bonnies 9-3, making their A10 conference debut. At VCU Rams 8-5, also making their season debut in the A10 here. So let's get into the line history here. We're at the Stuart C. Siegel Center, and we have this game popping off at 9 p.m. We have the Bonnies right now as 5-point dogs. Let's get over to Bet Online, and we have them here as 5-point dogs. +5 at minus 110. They opened up +4, moved to 4.5, and now we're at 5. So we have the 1-point move towards VCU. Let's get into the total here for this one. We're sitting here with a 139.5. It's heavily juiced to the under. This opened up at 133.5. So we have a 6-point move to the over. I mean, that's absolutely mind-boggling.
Ton of points. They're expecting the ball to be flying in from everywhere.
That is absolutely wild that there would be that big of a difference. So 80% of the tickets and 98% of the cash is on the over. And then you have 37% of tickets and 87% of the cash on VCU. So the public is on the Bonnies, but VCU, the line and the market is moving towards VCU on a 4-game winning streak. The Bonnies on a 2-game winning streak, beat Binghamton, then beat Akron, and barely got by Akron by a point. Now they head out onto the road. Both teams played on Saturday. VCU's won 4 straight. They're comfortable. They're at home. They just beat Gardner-Webb by 14. And they feel good about themselves. Interesting spot. Take it away for us here. Bonnies, Rams.
Yeah, so nobody's more equipped to talk shit about a St. Bonaventure team than I am here. And when it comes to look at the triangle of misery, I call it. Look at a map. Start with Buffalo, draw a straight line over to Syracuse, and then drop it down to Olean and look at that southern tier for St. Bonaventure. Any and all of those schools in there are at a disadvantage because geographically, when they're non-conference teams, it's tough travel spots, so they have to play each other. So they're not pushing the envelope and getting better from that regard. And again, from a confidence factor, St. Bonaventure team, I watch these guys, kind of have their streaks and their peaks and valleys, right? So big win for these guys against an Oak State team, but that was at home. So tough spot to play. That's a fun place to go and see a game too. Middle of fucking nowhere, but a ton of fun to go out there and hang out in a nice barn to watch some basketball. But that aside, then you go back at this Akron team. I like that Akron. I like Akron a lot. I think Akron's a team in the MAC to do some damage. We've already seen Akron's been playing a difficult road schedule, so they're challenging themselves. So big opportunity for Bonaventure to come out there and win that game, but they didn't cover that game. And that's the differentiator factor for me, is it was just enough to get by and pick up that win. On the flip side of things, look at who they played in their schedule. Again, I mentioned this kind of triangle of misery. They got Binghamton in there, a big spot with FAU. That was certainly a big factor for them. They had games against Niagara. Flip side of things, VCU hasn't played many teams either in Maryland Eastern Shores, Temple, Alcorn, but there was a big spot where they tested themselves, and that spot was against Memphis. They failed the test of 2.5 points here, and now you look at this thing and you see that St. Bonaventure comes off a big win against, an Akron team. You got a VCU team that has kind of trial tribulations. They failed against Memphis, now trying to build themselves back up. But they're a deep team with a lot of double-digit scoring guys that can go out there, and you factor in the home spot for them. Bonaventure, as a dog, not in a great spot there in the dog role. Bonaventure does not excel, and I think the bookmakers know exactly what's happening with this spot. St. Bonaventure does shoot 36.6 from beyond the arc, so definitely a team that can shoot the three, 77.3 from the free throw line, but I think it's a bad matchup here. You also have a VCU team that shoots 33.3 from beyond the arc, so they're certainly capable, and I think that's why you're seeing the number tick upward in terms of these teams are capable of putting that ball in from downtown. Free throw, again, comparable situation with 77.8%. You got to just go with the trends and some of the numbers that I believe in with this type of stuff here. Yeah, Bonaventure, 7 of 8 games that they've won in a row, which is ridiculous. But trust in me, there's an opportunity for these guys to blow it big time, and this fits that mold. VCU on the other side, 4-game winning streak. Also, when you have a team that just played a spot like Akron, they're 27 and 135 against the spread. So they just got the job done barely against an Akron team. Now they come out 27 and 135 spot. VCU -4 all day for me. -5, fine, doesn't make a difference. I just think it's a great opportunity for home VCU, the A10. We find that there's a huge home court advantage in the A10 for these teams as well. And I think VCU exploits St. Bonaventure, rips the Band-Aid off, and shows everybody just who they are.
I love it. VCU -5 and -108. I'm going to be rolling with you on VCU. At this point, obviously, 21-3 my last 24 college basketball bets. It's not going to continue at that number. So I don't get too caught up in whatever I'm doing here. But I am rolling with the under in Stanford UCLA, and I'm on VCU with Mikey thus far.
Oh.
But there are 2 spots left, so I'm curious to see if I roll, if I add anything. But that's what I have on. That's what I will be having on my card at this point. 9 p.m. Eastern is the next spot for Mikey. The NC State Wolfpack 9-3, 1-0 in ACC action. And Notre Dame Fighting Irish 6-7, 1-1 in the ACC. We're in South Bend for this one. Let's take a look at the rest situation now. I wonder if we think this is a big advantage for Notre Dame. They have played, whereas NC State has not played since December 23rd. NC State beat up on Detroit Mercy, Detroit Mercy 83-66. Came on the heels of their win over St. Louis. They had lost to Tennessee by 9 in the game before that. So winners of 2 straight, haven't played since the 23rd, going up against the Fighting Irish, who are coming in off that 22-point win at home over Virginia. A big surprise there. Here, they held Virginia to 18.2% from 3. They win by 22 as 9.5-point dogs. They opened up with the 17-point lead at the half. Very strange game. And do they come back to earth against this strong Wolfpack squad who hasn't played since December 23rd? Let's get into the line history here for this one. This is a 9 p.m. start. We have NC State right now at Bet Online as 5-point favorites. 5-point favorites. They opened up as 4.5-point favorites, and they moved to 5-point favorites last night. There's been no move since then, but we have a half-point move towards the Wolfpack. From a total side of things, we are sitting here with a 137.5. Of course, these are Bet Online market moves. This opened up at 135 and is now 137.5, a 2.5-point move towards the over. And then when we get into the cash flow for this 9 p.m. start, we have, where are we? Here we go. 81% of the tickets and 77% of the cash is on NC State. We've moved a half point in their direction. And then 83% of the tickets are on the total. We have no cash information, just 1,800 tickets in. Shout out to our guy AOD in the house. Take it away for us here, South Bend, Indiana. Wolfpack, Fighting Irish.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where, contrary to the popular opinion with the fact that they're the less, or I should say the more ready team, having just played on the 30th, I think that's a disadvantage for Notre Dame in this case. Why? Because they played Virginia, and that's a tough game out there. Virginia is one of those grind you up, spit you out defensive type of teams that forces you to take weird, quirky shots from uncomfortable positions on your back foot. And you know what they did? They shot phenomenally from the 3-point range, which is exactly where Virginia wants you to shoot. Now, who the hell figures a team that's 330 in the nation from 3-point goes out there and puts up 48% on Virginia? That's what are they, a 10-3 team as well? So Virginia is definitely a powerhouse to be reckoned with when it comes to their ability to play defense. Not quite what they used to be from a couple of years back that we remember in the tournament, but I think that took a lot of energy and expenditure for Notre Dame to get ready for. And if you look at it, just a dollars and cents behind it, Notre Dame's a 63.6 point team on the season. So they needed every one of those threes. They well extended themselves by putting up 76 points against Virginia. And prior to that, just not a lot of success going on. Not a lot of success going on in the program as a whole, not just the basketball program, but the athletics department. Their quarterback decides to sit out, and you don't do that if you're in a winning organization out there. And I think that says a lot about what's going on with Notre Dame. They're still probably a year or two away from being a year or two away. And, you look at this team, Notre Dame's a turnover-prone organization. They're 279th in offense. I just talked about being 330th from the 3. They do play a defensive game at 89th in the nation, which is definitely a big factor for them. But NC State's already battle-tested on the road. They got a big win against Boston College earlier this season. That Detroit Mercy win, probably not the sexiest of teams to go out there and handle, but they handled them 83-66. Yeah, they were laying 23 points, but they were expected to beat them up, and they beat them up. So big factor there. And then you look at the other teams that they played. St. Louis, Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee Martin. Okay, not the biggest deal there in Maryland Eastern Shores, but they're not afraid to go out there and try to challenge themselves, and they've done just that. They force a lot of turnovers. They rank 107th in both 2s and 3-point opportunities out there. So it's just a team that's better than competent and capable, right? They're kind of in that upper third of college basketball programs. Now you give them a little bit of rest, and I think it's going to challenge Notre Dame after that big organization victory. This is that classic and prototypical letdown spot for Notre Dame coming out. I know it's a conference game for NC State, but I think they're favored for a reason. And you look back at it, they're just a team that's got, I think, all the weapons in place to get it done against a low-scoring team in Notre Dame. Notre Dame needs this game to be low and slow-paced, much like that Virginia spot. But at the end of the day, are they going to go out there and, as a 330 team, shoot, 50% from the 3 again this game? I don't think so. I think that's kind of that. You're not going to catch lightning in a bottle twice. Whereas you got an NC State team that's comfortable on the road in their conference play and ready to kick some ass. They know what just happened against Virginia. They're looking at this game thinking it's going to boost their resume to take down a Notre Dame team that just waxed Virginia. So give me NC State. Nothing wrong with the Wolfpack in this spot here. I like them to whoop up on Notre Dame on the road. ACC network game. Should be another good one to watch.
You got it. You are locked in here. I was just taking a look at what NC State has done on the road this year because they lost horribly to Ole Miss, but then they went into Boston College and beat them in overtime as 2.5-point dogs. So they've proven, that they can play on the road. They've only had those 2 road basketball games. They have had a few spots, neutral spots, but those
Right.
those are the two road games. Ole Miss, and then they prove they can travel at Boston College. I agree. This is a letdown spot for Notre Dame. I agree. I just hope that we can. I maybe it's the perfect spot here. I mean, look at Ron Crawford saying he's got NC State by 11.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the perfect spot then.
Nobody shoots 50% from three, especially a team that's 330th in the nation. And that was the victory. And again, you look at the styles and the fights conversation, and that's how Notre Dame, gets that victory against the Virginia team and how they want to play. But NC State, they're not afraid to go out there. Again, big opportunity for this program. They want this win at a big capacity as well. And I think the rest gives them the advantage. They're not tired from just having played. So yeah, it's a travel spot for them, but they're putting up over 70 points a game. Simply put, 70 points to a 63-point offense is a 7-point differential, and they can get hot. So I'm sorry, 79 points almost in terms of the games per points per game in the season. So good opportunity, I think, for potential blowout. And I'm not against Ron Crawford's NC State by 11. It should be a double-digit victory here. I think Notre Dame just gets exposed. Not a lot to feel good about in Notre Dame right now, especially after what's happening with the other programs at Notre Dame. So I think they're going to get beat up. I think it's a bad spot for them. I think NC State gets the job done in big win fashion.
I find it a very interesting spot because Woo Rizza says Notre Dame playing well, +5 home dog. You can't say they're playing well. They had one game that was an outlier.
Right.
So, and we're going to talk about that in the final spot here on the board for Mikey in the game we've already talked about. Stanford Cardinal come in, after shooting 60% from three and beating Arizona by 18. I mean, it's an outlier. It's a crazy performance that we can't expect to happen again necessarily. It's not, you can't say, look, Stanford is playing very well. Look how they're shooting from the outside because they've only done it one game here. Now they are a good 3-point shooting team. Don't get me wrong, but it's different with Notre Dame. They've been bad all year, lost to cupcakes, and then shoot out of their minds against West Virginia's giant home dog. So it's a little different here. I find NC State appealing. Let's hear what Mikey's doing on his last game here on the board before we get into NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. I've been talking about what our cappers have been doing here and how we're all just winning together. You have Mikey Money, who's got an 8.20% ROI here in college basketball. And then you have Dutch Boy Fresh coming up next with a 6.93% ROI in the NBA. It's just one after another with our cappers succeeding here on screen and in the chat. And we're rolling real nice. So last game before NBA, take it away. We've already set it all up. Cardinal, UCLA, Bruins. We heard from C-Mac on the under, a spot that Noli knows agreed with. Take it away for us. Last game on the board, Mikey, Poly Pavilion in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that under spot. I think that makes a lot of sense when you kind of look at it. Clearly you just talked about it earlier. I know you guys, I don't want to repeat what's already been said out there. Stanford, big win against Arizona. They should have won that game against Arizona State too. They just kind of shit the bed at the end, but the rebound factor, the recovery there New Year's Eve to come out and rip Arizona's face off and beat them with it, to me was impressive spot to kind of be involved with. And on the flip side of things, is there a more public team than UCLA? Maybe it's Notre Dame. I'm not sure, but everybody that I was talking with was all over UCLA against Oregon. And I was like, you're not going to go up to Oregon and slap an Oregon team. And they didn't. Now they covered the spread because they were getting 7, but that to me showed you the state of the program. Yeah, that double road trip there. So they had the Oregon State factor and they beat Oregon State, but they were a 6.5-point favorite. They should have beat Oregon State. They're a marginal team that's kind of right in that wheelhouse of where if you catch the number at the right spot, you're going to win with UCLA. And if you miss it or you're late to the party like the public does with UCLA, then you're going to lose. And I think UCLA clearly 18 straight wins against conference opponents when they're at their barn. That's a big factor. That's a big number. But we don't need Stanford to win this game outright. We need Stanford to cover. And I think it's a program that's moved. This is one of those games where it's kind of the perfect setup. You got, bad defense versus bad offense. And on both sides of the thing. So the Bruins are 5-7-1 against the spread this year. Stanford's 6-6. You don't have much of an edge there either. But in a coin flip spot, to me, UCLA's won the last 4 matchups between Stanford and UCLA. I think there's a little revenge angle out there. This Stanford team's feeling good about themselves after that Arizona spot. So contrary to that last game where we talk about the letdown, this is a weird situation because you've got UCLA, just not scoring a lot of points. They're getting less than 70 points in both their spots over that 2-game spread against Oregon. On the other side of things, you got a team in Stanford, who's freshman now, what was his name? Kenane Carlisle, 5-star recruit, ready to rock and roll, puts up 28 points in that win against Arizona. What's dangerous about that for a UCLA team is you got your 5-star freshman just handled a national powerhouse in Arizona. His confidence has got to be sky high. You pair him up there with Jared Bynum in terms of a guard opportunity, difficult spot. Then you add 7-footer Maxime Renaud out there, and it's a difficult spot for a UCLA team to match up with. You know, that 7-footer isn't just a guy that's putting his hands up and throwing out blocks. He's leading the team in scoring with 14.5 points. He's leading the team in rebounds with almost 10. Granted, he's got that Adi Mabona there, big spot for UCLA, but I think it's an opportunity here where we see Stanford light this board up here. I think Stanford gets well over the 70-point mark. 80 points is the number that I kind of have pegged for a Stanford team. And at the end of the day, I just don't know that UCLA gets themselves to 60. I think it's going to be a difficult situation when you've got you've got a team that's feeling good about themselves with size and talent against a team in UCLA who, you know, UCLA's move last year was to bring in some international players, hope to teach them the game, and it didn't work out. Some of them got hurt. Some of them transferred out. Now they're just kind of left with a young team that needs to figure out how to play themselves. And at the end of the day, you kind of have, this is one of those games that I like where you've got that Stanford's like that Steph Curry style. They just shoot the three from everywhere. They don't care. They shoot 40% of their possession attempts are 3-pointers, and they connect on 37.5% of them. So a team that's not afraid to shoot from deep, and they got the size to board up on you. They got guys that are confident and capable to rebound. Not going to leave a lot of second chance point spots for UCLA. I think this one's going to get ugly, and I think the wrong team's favored in this spot. Big spot that I was on yesterday. I shared this with a couple of folks over on Last Call. When you got a team that you just played like in Oregon, in UCLA's case, 10-72 against the spread. I never see numbers like that, 10-72. It just shows that after you challenge yourself and you're going out there and you're playing a lesser opponent in a team like Stanford at +4, you're not covering the spread and you're probably losing the game outright. So do they win it or lose it outright? I'd rather have the 4 points in my back pocket to get the job done. Whatever the number is now is fine for me because I see 4.5s out there, as a matter of fact. 4.5s. I even see a 5. But I'll take the 4.5 at -105. Unless you see a better number for me. If that 5's around -110, I would rather have the extra half a point. But at the end of the day, 10-72. We rode that streak yesterday with Brown. Brown almost won that game outright. Same spot, same spread. Brown was getting 4 points. Brown puts the job down, loses by 1 point at the very end, almost went to overtime. Thank God it didn't go to overtime because that's where dogs go to die, in my opinion. But, again, Trent's running it right back here. Same spot, same situation with Stanford, +4, +5, whatever that number happens to be. Like it. Stanford probably wins the game outright, but give me the points.
You got it. Stanford +4.5 -105. I don't have a 5 available offshore. Do you have a 5?
I saw it. It was a little pricey. It was -115 at Caesars, but I think the 4.5. Like I said, I think they're a live dog in the spot here. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to go jump. Look at this money lines, +170s out there. So wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to throw a little sprinkle on there. But for official show purposes, we'll rock Stanford +4.5.
Stanford +4.5 -105. NC State -5 at -108. I'm going to be on that. VCU -5 -108. I'm going to be on that as well. Nova -8.5. Over 135.5 in Mercer, East Tennessee State, and Providence -6 at -108. Locked and loaded, Mikey. Tell everybody a little bit about what's going on at 6 p.m. Eastern for Last Call this evening.
Last Call. We got LJ coming in there to rock in the NBA, give us some plays in the association. And he's been firing. All the guests have been firing with Last Call, and we've been having a pretty successful run. So big day yesterday. I think we stacked up almost 4 units yesterday on the card, and looking to do it again today. We got, small hockey slate, but a couple of spots that I think are absolute knockdown dragouts. Little kind of trifecta opportunity. All the circles align with one of these spots in the NHL. Also, obviously we'll look at some more college basketball and a big NBA card tonight. Got a bunch of plays lined up there. The best part about this time of year, now that we're seeing conference play with college basketball, we can start to utilize some of the analytics. It's hard to benchmark or index teams when they're playing programs that they play once every 3 years or that kind of our D3 schools, but going to have some great analytics moving forward there. And the NBA kind of post that Christmas mark now. We're starting to see some trends heat up there as well. So looking forward to it, man. We've been doing that. We've been kicking ass and taking names in the NBA. And I expect that to continue on tonight with our guy LJ coming in and making cash. So drop on in 6 p.m. Eastern, Last Call, Pub Sports Radio. Shout out to everybody out there in the chat. Hey, Mike Picks, Ron Crawford, Kent Davies, Flea Mathis, Dan Kelly, the gang, and of course, your next guest as well. Fresh motherfucker that he is, blazing up already. I can see it.
Thank you, Mikey. Please support the show, 6 p.m. Eastern, last call. LJ from H-Town, his guest this evening. And you want to run with both those guys, you come down to Pubapalooza in San Antonio. Let's bring on your next guest, and we have a monster NBA card for us to break down. He's been excellent here on our show. 24-19, hitting at 55.8%, plus 2.98 units ROI, plus 6.93% average line, minus 110. He was last with us on Wednesday, December 27th, where he went 3-1, plus 1.86 units, looking to keep up this stack and working on all these NBA games before his big live stream this evening with Daby Cab. All about the hoops, Wednesday night, 7:15 p.m. Eastern, right after last call. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutchy, what's good, my man? How are you?
Jimmy the motherfucking bag. NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plug. Yeah, man. I'm good, Jim. Good to be back with you. You know, been fighting this cold. Man, should be lingering a little bit, but we're on our way to the motherfucking bag. It's good to be here with you on another Wednesday. Shout out to the chat, all the real ones holding us down.
What a wild show you and Cab and others are going to have this evening with this monstrous NBA card. If you're a fan of hoop, then you got to check out our show this evening. Last call, rolling into all about the hoops. Let's get right to work. We have a lot of work to do, and we don't need to sit here and hum and haw too much. You know, with this huge card, if you don't really like it, we will move past it. So let's roll. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Washington Wizards 6-26, 3-15 on the road at the Cleveland Cavaliers, 18-15, 9-8 at home at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. The fastest pace in the NBA over the last 5 games is these Washington Wizards, 1-4, 103.10 possessions a game. You know, a month ago, 103 possessions a game would have you in the top 6 or 7 possessions a game. So we're seeing the NBA as a whole slow down a little bit. Cleveland is on the other end of the spectrum. In the last 5 games, they're just 2-3. They're playing at the 28th fastest pace in the NBA, 97.90 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We're going to go back to Pinnacle for these line moves. Pinnacle's moved this to Cleveland as double-digit favorites. They opened up at minus 9.5. They're now at 10. And from a total look here, we have them sitting over at Penny at 239, minus 108 to the over. This was 239.5. It just moved to 239. That didn't an hour and 19 minutes ago. Over to the cash flow for our first game on this giant NBA card. We have 32% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the Wizards. So there's only been a half-point move towards the Cavs with 68% of tickets on them, just 46% of cash. And then total-wise, 79% of tickets and 95% of cash is on the under. It's a lot of money on the under, for the line to be, what did it do? It moved a half point. That doesn't really correlate. Wizards coming off their 4th loss in 5 games, 130-126 at home to Atlanta on Sunday night. It's just a mess watching the Wizards play. Kuzma went for 38. He hit 7 threes. That sounds really good, right? He took 18 threes. The Wizards took 53 threes.
Oh, damn.
54.1% of their shots were 3-pointers. I mean, it's just nuts.
That's insane.
Avdija went for 17 and 12, second straight double-double. The Cavs coming off their second straight loss, 124-121 at Toronto on Monday night. It was a pretty interesting situation because, the Raptors were running with, RJ and Emmanuel quickly, who we'll talk about here when we get to the Raptors spot. But the Cavs went down 19. The Raps put up 41 in the first. The Cavs won every quarter and came right back, but lost by 3. LeVert went for 31. Spider went for 26. 5 Cavs were in double figures. Evan Mobley with the left knee surgery. Darius Garland with the jaw fracture. These guys aren't coming back this month, so get used to this roster for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Our first game on the board, Wizards, Cavaliers.
Yeah, man. I mean, to me, it's got to be Cavaliers or nothing. We made a significant amount of money off the Cavaliers first half here. It's a little high, though, for me. Wouldn't be mad if you went to the window with it, though, but we got a 12-game card. I mean, but to me, the Cavs, they're just on another level, even with the injuries. LeVert's coming off the bench, coming off a 31-point piece. If he finds his game, he's real nice to have off the bench, which is why I like the Cavaliers at the beginning of the season with this roster, because I thought he could definitely be a six-man of the year candidate. But in saying that, man, the Cavs have their way with these boys. They've won 4 straight meetings. Last 3 have been by double digits, 16 points per game. So really probably shouldn't be scared to lay this type of number. The Wiz have lost 7 out of the last 8 on the road. To me, it's Cavaliers, probably team total. Cavaliers early, probably full game as well, Jim. I looked at this game a little bit, and I keep scratching my head. Why am I not on the Cavaliers? And it's because when I look at that roster, it's just not what I want to be betting on, laying this many points. But the Wizards are this bad, and they can fuck around and hang around because you shoot 53 threes. 54, and one guy chucks up 18 of them. Goddamn, 7 of them went in, so they're bound to go on a little bit of a run. But they ain't stopping nobody, absolutely nobody. So the Cavs probably could pick their number on them. And I'm not in, I don't know, Cavaliers, 9.5. They do, are a better team at the house. It's a big number, Jim, but it is a big number for a reason.
They're just 9-8 at home, too. I know that the injuries are a big story as to what's happening, but this does not appeal to me to get my card started. So we can just move on to the next spot on the board. And we need to talk about some notes from Dan Kelly, but we don't need to hear for game 1. So for game 2, or game 1. So we can get into that for game 3. So let's start here and roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern, Milwaukee Bucks 24-9, 8-6 on the road. Indiana Pacers 18-14, 9-7 home. Cambridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, Flush Allen says the Wizards are my Rockets this year, which means that he's taking team totals against any team playing against the Wizards, taking a team total. Look, I get that.
That's good money, man.
I get that. That worked out great for all of us last year. Milwaukee 3-2 over the past 5, playing at the second fastest pace in the NBA, 102 possessions a game. Indiana has slowed down now for about 3 weeks. They're playing at 13th fastest pace in the NBA over their last 5, 100.40 possessions a game, 4-1. These teams just met on Monday, and they don't like each other. So it's a pretty wild, exciting, fun spot when we're watching the upstart Pacers go up against a team in the Bucks, who have been the elite in the conference now for some time. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. The total is ludicrously high, 257.5. This opened up at 258.5, dropped to 257.5, got down to 256.5 before there was buyback. It's 257.5. It is juiced to the under. That's unbelievable. From a spread perspective here, we're sitting with Milwaukee as 3.5-point favorites. They opened up as 3-point favorites and moved a half point in their direction. Let's get into the cash flow then for this one. You have 69% of tickets and 67% of cash on the under. Then 74% of tickets and 93% of the cash on Milwaukee. 93% of the cash at the line is not moving in their direction. Robert Franklin looking at the Bucks first quarter. And Mikey M says road teams shorter than +7 are 34-10-2 against the spread off of a home loss and 4-0 against the spread when the opponent is the same as last game. Those are big, big, big numbers that are hard not to push you in the direction of these Bucks. So the teams met on Monday, 122-113 victory for the Pacers. Pacers have a 2-1 record in regular season series. It was the Pacers' 4th straight win. It snapped the Bucks' modest 2-game winning streak. The one thing that caught me, and we see this when games matter more, is that the Pacers won despite shooting 14.3% from 3. That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. Halliburton, 26, 11, and 9. Mathurin came off the bench for 25 and 13 boards. And this bench is looking strong. Isaiah Jackson giving you 18 and 9. We know what TJ McConnell can do, and 16 and 9 is not a normal game for him, but we know he's a real character guy and a good backup point guard. Obi Toppin went for 11. So Indiana scores the most in the NBA. Milwaukee second at 124.6. Giannis had a triple-double in the loss on Monday, 30, 18, and 11. Lopez and Middleton each went for 21. The issue is, once again, Damian Lillard was nowhere to be found. 3 of 16 shooting for 13 points, and he wants to bounce back. We all remember Tyrese in the play-in saying what time it is.
Time. That motherfucker.
By the way, I loved Lillard's reply to that. I thought he replied like such a vet with such savvy, just saying, look, I've been in that situation before, and you're not always going to be on the winning side of those spots. He handled it with such class, with no anger, with no pettiness.
And he showed up the next time they played. I mean, he is Dame time, but I don't know, man. He needs to find his shit in Milwaukee. I know that.
Well, I can't wait to hear your plan. Or is this a stay off? Take it away. Bucks, Pacers at Gamebridge.
Yeah, man. Like, let's go. I'm a Dame time guy. Him and Luka are my guys. I haven't really liked the consistency I've seen over there at a Dame time, though. This is a game where I think you can't bet Dame time over 3.5 threes. It's just like when you get in there, it's just like, damn, man, he either knocks down 1 3 or 4 threes. And it's more 1 than 4. Definitely of late. So, I'm not going to the window with Damian Lillard, but I do expect a big game out of him. And I do think, if you're gonna bet on it, I think it's at even money pretty much over 3.5 threes. I mean, it's pretty low. It's pretty low for Dame time. But man, the issue with these boys is they cannot stop the guards. These guards do whatever they want against Milwaukee. They're like flat-footed. It starts with Dame and all the way down from even the bench players. They have absolutely no wing play outside of Malik Beasley. He's the only one who can really move his fucking feet on the perimeter. It's pretty disgusting. And when you got guards like Hallie and Buddy Hield, these guys are looking to attack that, and they will attack that. And that's why they're 3-1. I mean, goddamn, once a fucking week these teams play each other, Jim. They played each other 4 times already this year. The Pacers obviously got them in the in-season tournament. The Bucks bounced back, and then just the other day, Milwaukee up 7 after 1. I had them first half, small, and they up by 6 at the end of 1 at halftime. So they covered the first quarter, first half, and then that second half, it was MIA for the Bucks, man. They weren't even there, and obviously you touched on it. The Indiana Pacers in Milwaukee shot 14% from the 3-point line. 14% from the 3-point line and still beat you by damn near double digits in Milwaukee. I mean, that's troublesome to me. So I do expect it to be a Milwaukee bounce back spot. But if you bet Milwaukee, it better be early. The Pacers are 4-1 against these boys. Straight up or against the number of the last 5. But as a dog, this might be where you get the Pacers 2-3 straight up as a dog, their last 5 as a dog. So. And then you look at Milwaukee on their side, they have covered 8 out of the last 10 road basketball games. But as I mentioned, they're 1-4-1 against the number against the Indiana Pacers in their last 6. So Indiana has not only found a way to cover, they found a way to beat these boys. So back at the crib, it's got to be hard to beat the same team 4 out of 5 games. You got to imagine, Jim. So, I have no action on this game, to be quite honest with you. If there was more other games, if this was a 4-game card, I would be on Milwaukee Bucks here. But I gotta see it, and I expect points here, a lot of points. I expect the over here. Giannis check out these numbers, bro. He's averaging 46 points per game. He's had in the last 4 meetings versus these guys. He's had a 54-point game and a 64-point game against these motherfuckers. And he just is. I mean, he just coming off a 30-piece with a triple-double and a loss, and now his points are at 36.5 today. 36.5. I would have went to the window with Giannis if it was closer to 32. 36.5 is his number today. So they expect Giannis to feast in Indiana.
And then my bad for saying 2-1 season series. Thank you for correcting that. Yeah, 3-1. So this is it. This is the last time these two teams meet each other all year. You got to think that the Bucks answer back.
Yeah, it makes me want to bet the Bucks. I expect anytime coming up 3-16 basketball game. The motherfucker had 13 points. The only reason is because he knocked down, I believe, 10 free, or he had a lot of free throws. But I mean, I guess it's got to be a Milwaukee spot here. Talking it out with you a little bit. I probably should go to the window with Milwaukee.
I don't know if I'm going to go to the window though. I mean, I can like when you hear the stats from Mike. I mean, and we all know that these back-to-back games against the same competition benefits the gamblers.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for us. I mean, and if you just blindly took the team that lost in the second game, your ROI is through the roof.
Yeah, it's tough to beat the same team 2 times in a row. Don't really matter who you're playing, especially a competition like Milwaukee. And as you mentioned, these teams don't like each other. Remember, the motherfuckers took the ball away. You see Giannis running after him. I wanted to bet everything Giannis today, but his points and rebounds are 49.5. I mean, these are Luka numbers.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to get to the window with this huge card, but we'll see how much action I have, and maybe at this point I'm comfortable just leaving that off at this point. So let's roll on. Let's let our guy Billy Friedrich lead us into the next spot on the board. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Fade the Hawks on the home spread. Atlanta 1-12 against spread at home. Thunder Buddies are 9-3-1 on the road against the spread. Record wise, that's an 84% look from Billy Friedrich here. Let's get into this spot next. We had State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. The Thunder second half of a back-to-back after securing their 5th straight win last night, 127-123 at home over the Celtics. You know, that's an important game for them. With Giddey finally getting over, it seems like mentally getting over everything that happened to him in the beginning of the season. Season high 23 points, and he's gone 20 back-to-back games. And Shea just looks like the smoothest basketball player I've ever seen. Maybe that's a little far, but he just seems so calm.
Not to cut you off, Jim, but outside of Luka, Shea's the best thing going in the NBA right now. I said this yesterday when I was talking with the boys, man. I'm telling you right now, watching him, he's more confident. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I mean, he outplayed him yesterday. He's so good, bro. Like shout out to the Canadian.
So good, man. Shout out to Hamilton. Shout out to Shea. Shout out to. I mean, he's so good. He's just so calm. You know, when Jamal Murray hit that dagger, I talked about it. It was the best 8 seconds of basketball for Canadians we've ever seen in our life. I couldn't believe Shea had 8 seconds and he just strolled calmly up the court. Like there was no rush. You know, I would have been sprinting and screaming, up the court if that was me with the ball. I mean, it's just he's so calm and cool.
I mean, he gets contact every time too. When he needs it, he gets it. It's just he's like watching one of the old players, bro. I'm just like, wow. I'm like wanting to watch Thunder games now because of Shea. He's that nice.
Yeah, he's really playing well. But this is not easy, beating the big bad Celtics at home for your 5th straight win and then heading out on the road to quiet State Farm Arena. Their attendance hasn't been bad this year, even though the team has been bad. So here we go. Let's take a look at the line history. But the Thunder playing at 12th fastest pace in the league, 100.5 possessions a game, while Atlanta 1-4 over the past 5, playing at 101.5 possessions games. That's 5th fastest in the NBA. Again, a month ago, 101.5 would have been 15th fastest in the NBA. Shea, 36 points against the Celtics, averaging 31.4 on the season. The Hawks, on the other side, snapped their 4-game losing streak with a 130-126 victory at Washington on Sunday night. It was very underwhelming. I mean, Trey has to go for 40 points and 13 assists for them to get the W. Jalen Johnson is stepping up. I mean, he had the left wrist fracture that cost him 14 games. This guy is very important piece. 14.6 points, 8.1 boards on the year. He had a career high 24 points, and he added 13 boards in the win. Another interesting spot that should be talked about is we are about to get a real opportunity to get some comfort with Atlanta. 13 of their next 18 games at home, where they're just 4-9. They've lost 4 of their last 5 at State Farm. I don't think they're this bad. I mean, obviously, there's easy things to say. They're not a 4-9 team. They're not going to be, hitting 36% at home. So I'm interested to see, how this all bangs out. So let's take a look here at the line history. A lot of people liking OKC. This is not a comfortable spot for me after a huge win. But then does anybody want the Hawks open up at +1.5. They get up to +2. They're back at +1. Obviously, I think that they're live here. I don't know if I can press the button. Sorry. Let me get to the total here. My bad. From a total scenario, we are sitting here with a 248.5. It's -111 to the under. This opened up at 247.5. Now at 248.5. And when we get to the cash flow, you have 54% of tickets and 67% of the cash on Atlanta. The line's moving a half point towards them. 27% of tickets and 82% of cash on the over. I wonder if I can do it. I wonder if I can bet Atlanta because the market certainly makes me want to. Take it away for us here, Dutch. State Farm Arena, where the Hawks have won 4 of 13 games.
Yeah, and this is a crazy-ass number right here, Jim. They're 0-11, their last 11 against the number at the house. They haven't covered 11 straight basketball games. So,
wow.
I mean, that's pretty rough. And 5-14 against the number when you did all the way back against Oklahoma City at home the last 19 basketball games. And then you look on the other side of that, Oklahoma City 7-2-1 against the number, last 10 on the road. But I completely agree with you. That, that was a huge win last night. I said it yesterday. There was value all over Thunder. A lot of sharps, a lot of guys I liked, wanted to win were on the Celtics. And I couldn't get to the window with it because I like what I'm seeing out of Shea, and I like what I'm seeing out of Chet Holmgren. That boy goes 110 the entire game. Every time he's out there, he's running. So, and he's prolific too. I mean, he can knock down the open jumper. He plays defense. And with Shea, man, I think he might be the best thing going. Goddamn, this boy's nice. Like he's unstoppable. So I don't really look for anyone to get in front of his way. And back to back, I don't really see much to it. So I wouldn't be mad at Shea props, and I wouldn't be mad about points in this basketball game. I feel more comfortable with either one of those than betting OKC on the road. And then obviously I can't go on and say this motherfucker hit black 11 straight times. I'm not the one who goes there and bets it on red. Fuck that. I either ride the chin or I keep walking. I can't do it. But it's definitely an Atlanta spot. I think Atlanta. I think I look at the scoreboard tonight. Atlanta probably wins this basketball game, but I would not be shocked whatsoever if they find a way to lose it. So, a prop basketball game, in my opinion. I believe they'll go up and down the court all night, kind of like the Celtics and OKC last night. I think it'll be the same damn thing. Close basketball game. Maybe Atlanta finds a way to get out of there. Maybe OKC does what they do, and Shea finds a way to get that dub in the ATL. But a good basketball game I'll be watching. But clearly, I see what you see in it being an Atlanta spot.
Well, I'm going to take it further, and I want to bet them. So I'm going to be on Atlanta here.
With that record, you should be betting what the fuck you see,
Well, that record isn't quite as. I mean, I've not been running very well in NBA. I'm coming back to earth here. I went 0-2 on Friday, so it is. I'm still up at 10+ units, but just so you guys know of the hotness, I'm 2-6 over my last 8. So I'm coming back to earth. I'm going to be on the Atlanta Hawks. Dan Kelly saying if you want to bet Atlanta, wait till halftime or later. I wonder if the roster is going to be intact for the Thunder. I feel like there's something up. I hear that, though. And Dan Kelly saying Shea and Nikhil were high school teammates at Hamilton Heights Christian Academy. And then our guy, Nutflush, asking for the team total under for OKC. Right now, that team total under is 123.5. It's juiced to the over. So I'm going to be on the Hawks here for better or for worse. That's my first spot on the board. Let's move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. Next up, Brooklyn Nets 15-19, 6-11 on the road at Houston Rockets, 16-15, 13-5 at home at Toyota Center, Houston, Texas. Brooklyn on the second half of back-to-back after suffering their 4th straight loss, and it was horrific. 112-85 at the Pelicans last night. Which game, BJ? The game we just capped? If it is, there's been a slight move towards Atlanta. Opened up at 1.5, got up to 2. Now it's down to 1. And Nutflush says, yes, I gave out Oklahoma team total over yesterday. No, I love it. I like it. There's my guy, Elio, in the house. What up, Elio? Happy New Year, my man. By the way, Elio has been spending a lot of time at the hospital with his mom. Both Nutflush Island and Topset are looking after their moms right now in real tough situations. So just let, if you get a chance, let these guys know how much we love them, how much they mean to us, because you guys are so important to our squad. Nutflush and
guys right
yeah, such stand-up guys, and they're sitting, bedside with their moms right now, and just sending you guys a ton of love and just really respecting and watching how you guys are handling it, and hope that personally I can do the same, because we're all going to be in this situation that you guys are in, and you guys are handling it like real leaders. So I love you guys, and hate that you guys have to go through this. Let's get back to this Brooklyn-Houston spot. Brooklyn 1-4 over their past 5, 98.4 possessions a game. Houston 2-3, 99.9 possessions a game. 16th fastest for Houston, 26th fastest for Brooklyn. Let's get into the line history here. And by the way, we're hearing that Hawks game is off the board. It's not for me. But something's up. No doubt about it. Okay, back to this Brooklyn spot. From a total scenario, we're sitting at 221. This opened up at 222. It's dropped a point to 221. And from a line history standpoint, we're sitting here with Houston minus 5.5 at plus 102. This opened up at minus 6.5 and now at minus 5.5. And North End are saying stay strong, guys. Well, one thing I want to touch on is that can be a real lonely feeling, sitting at the bedside of the woman that raised you, sitting alone in a hospital, sitting at that bedside. It can be a lonely feeling. And you guys, I just want you both to know that we are right there with you, even though we're not physically with you. And just really respect how you guys are handling it, and heart goes out. Spreadsheet play of the day is the Rockets minus 5.5 for our Ron Crawford. Let's copy and paste that right now. Locked and loaded. By the way, Nutflush too, going through, sitting there, with his mom, goes 5-0 with his action yesterday. Let the sports capping kind of help get us through all the difficult things in our life, and I love the way you guys are handling. Great job last night, Mikey. So Brooklyn on second half back-to-back after the debacle last night. 35.7% from the field, 25.6% from 3. They were bad. Cam Thomas 0 for 11, 0 points. Dinwiddie and Royce O'Neal 0 for 12, 0 points. Dorian Finney-Smith 1 for 6 for 3 points. God, I think they bounce back here. Rockets snapped their 3-game losing streak, and this is a 7-game homestand that they're on right now. But they snapped their 3-game losing streak with that 136-113 victory at home over Detroit on Monday night. Sengun is just rolling here. Game high 26, 9-13 shooting. That's the sixth straight game that Sengun has scored at least 20 points. He's averaging 27.8 over that span. And then Green is running nice. He's got a streak of consecutive games at least 20 points, a 3-game streak. He's averaging 25.3 points, hitting 51% shooting, 5.3 points per game during that streak. So a lot of really interesting things here. Let's take a look at that cash flow, because that's what I really want to see in this one. We have, let's find it here in this Brooklyn game. We have on the total 83% of tickets, 88% cash on the over. I don't care about that. I care about this. 53% of the tickets and 68% cash on Brooklyn. So we have bigger bets coming in on Brooklyn. We have a half-point move a full-point move towards Brooklyn. This is right in my wheelhouse. How do we not expect Brooklyn to bounce back and cover this spread, Dutch?
Yeah, man, I'm not with you on this one, Jim. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Brooklyn. I faded them yesterday. I was all over the Pelicanos, and I wish that was my only bet. I'm just not liking what I see out of this basketball team. Not to mention, this is the last game of the 4-game road trip in a back-to-back situation. It's obviously, I believe, started in Washington and then here in Houston. And you get in Houston in a basketball team that's kind of been, in a funk of late. Yeah, they got right against Detroit in a good spot there after losing 3 straight at the crib. But, they haven't played the best basketball of late. But this is not only that, you know, I have some confidence in Houston at the house, but this is more simply a fate of Brooklyn, Jim. It really is. They're 1-10 against the number last 11 basketball games. They're 0-7 as a dog the last 7. 0-7 ATS last 7 on the road. And when I watch this basketball team, Dinwiddie looks checked out. All right, Dinwiddie looks checked out. Cam Thomas is he wants to do one thing, and that's just try to drop 40. He's absolutely playing no defense, but he's that good on offense, and they got to give him run. It's just leaking down from the team. They're counting on Dennis Smith Jr. to get big numbers here defensively. I'm just not seeing it. I really don't see anyone playing defense on that team outside of maybe Mikal Bridges and Claxton at times. But I just don't like this roster. I don't like the way that they're sharing the ball. And I think when your point guard Dinwiddie is literally playing with his head down and playing like check the fuck out, I just think it trickles down to the basketball team. And you're seeing it on the court, as I mentioned. If you've been fading Brooklyn, you've been having a very, very good holiday. The Rockets, on the other hand, as I mentioned, they did lose 3 straight at home, bounced back with a double-digit win against Detroit like they were supposed to, and they've lost 3 straight here to the Nets by an average of 14 points per game. So, you know, they're going to get the Nets here. I think they're going to see the Brooklyn Nets and look to maybe get a little bit of payback after getting smacked around from them against the big Nets, you know, the last couple years here, especially when James Harden was coming back and shit like that nature. But outside of those 3 losses in a row, they are 13-4 straight up at home, Jim. So they had only lost 1 basketball game the first 12 at the house and up until that point, up until about a week and a half ago. So I expect Houston to get right back to their winning ways. I like Van Fleet running the show. You got an awful lot of the talent out there, and Sangoon continues to load up the stat sheet. I think they have absolutely nobody for him. So look for Houston to run these boys out the gym. I'm just staying off the first half because it's simply a full game, a back-to-back situation where I expect a top-heavy Brooklyn team legs to tire down as well through 4 quarters. So give me the full game. I see 5.5 at -105 at BetMGM, but if you could beat it.
Yeah, we can beat it. -5, -108.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I guess I'll let that keep me off of the Nets here. I know that you would support me going up against you. I know that you support completely. It's not that. It's just that this is the 5th game of a 7-game homestand. You know, they weren't looking very good. They won last game. I see what you like in the Rockets. And then I see what I like in the Nets coming off the debacle. But what you guys are saying is that this debacle is genuine. This might not have just been a flash in the pan that, you know, and Dan agreeing with you, saying looks like Jacques Vaughn not being listened to right now. So I will.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and it hasn't just been a couple games. So
yeah, no, I'll stay off of that. Dutch on the Rockets -5, -108. Ron Crawford's spreadsheet play of the day is in, and it is the Houston Rockets -5.5. So we are on the corner of Dutch and Spreadsheet Avenue here with the Houston Rockets. Next up, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Toronto Raptors 13-24 and 11 on the road at Memphis Grizzlies 11-22, 3-12 at home. FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. You know, a lot of when the trade happened, I had to go sit down. Like I had to sit alone and sit and think about it for a while. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. There's comics on my social media that I grew up, you know, doing stand-up with, and I don't respect their takes, and they were just livid, screaming, yelling, smashing stuff, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a good move if it upsets these guys who I don't respect so much. When I look at the trade, what's become clear is that we had to take RJ Barrett. That was a forced situation. We forced our hand. It was Emmanuel quickly that we wanted, and we wanted that first pick in the 2nd round, and we were forced to take RJ Barrett. You know, I don't see his contract is being so bad. I mean, there's only a few more years left. Maybe he's not $100 million guy, and that's fine.
No, he's not.
So, and in the toxic nature of him and all that stuff, I don't know if that's necessarily being proven. But here we were going to lose OG if we did nothing with them. We were going to lose him for nothing. He didn't want to be here. So I don't think it's a bad trade. And but we had, if we wanted quickly in that pick, we had to take RJ Barrett. And if RJ Barrett continues the trajectory of his career, then he'll come off the bench and he'll be worth, I don't know, $15 million a year, $15 million. So, we'll see. I like Masai bringing back the Toronto kid to try and get him started.
A lot of pressure on him, though. It's more pressure on him. Who I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think being a lottery pick on the New York Knicks will be more pressure than coming home to Toronto. Personally,
really?
Yeah, I do. Coming home to Toronto. I mean, this is not. I mean, look, this is not his team, and we don't care that much anymore, really, about having Canadians representing us. There's now quite a few Canadians in the NBA. It's not like in Major League Baseball, when we have less than a 0.5%. It's not like that. So I think that he's getting disrespected across the entire NBA landscape, and it's up to him to step up. North Ender says, I disagree that RJ is a bum as well. I don't think he's a bum.
He's just not like, I mean, if he's coming off your bench, that's really good. But if he's your starting 3, I mean, that's not too good, in my opinion.
And we saw on Team Canada this summer with watching him play beside Shea, just the difference between the two basketball players. There's
levels to this.
But I don't dislike the trade at all. I think it's good that we got OG out. We were never going to get 3 first-round picks, what Masai was trying to get over and over again. So I'm fine with it. Let's take a look.
Point guards are hard to come by. My bad, Jim. But point guards are hard to come by. So if you're high on Quickly, and you think he's going to be that guy, then it could work out. And you got a pick too. So I think this trade has you have to look in the future for a little bit. Wait a little bit.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not angry. I'm not happy. I think it's an interesting trade, and we move forward here. So let's roll on. But first, shout out to John C. Van Dyke with the $10 dono. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for supporting us, blessing our action. Let's find a winner right here in this game. Raptors, Grizzlies. This total's dropped from 232.5 down to 227. So we've got a 5.5 point move towards the under. From a spread perspective, we are sitting here with Memphis as 1 point favorites, -1 at -107. They opened up -1 at -105. So there's been no movement whatsoever here on this spread, and huge move on the total. Rose is a game time decision. Not many injury issues here on either side of the fence. Let's get into the cash flow here for this spot. From a cash perspective, 36% of tickets and 50% of the cash is on the Toronto Raptors. From a total perspective, 25% of tickets, 44% cash on the over, and we've seen that big drop. So our Raptors snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 124-121 win at home over the Cavs on Monday night. Put up 41 points in the first quarter with all the excitement, and then slowly the Cavs got back into it. Siakam, 36 points. Pirtle had 14 and 11. Quickly went for 14, and Barrett, 19 and 9. Grizzlies are on the second half back-to-back after snapping their 3-game losing streak with a 106-98 win at home over the Spurs last night. Ja went for 26 and 10. Bane went for 24, and they shut down any kind of anything that the Spurs had going. The Spurs had 5 fast break points. Sammy Comer says Grizz for me here. Kent Davies bet the Grizzlies team total under yesterday because Ja left yesterday's game. Still played 31 minutes. Terrible. What do we do with this spot, Dutch? Is this they had their wonderful opportunity at home against the Cavs. They showed out in the first quarter, and then Cavs got back into it. What happens here in Memphis? Take it away.
Yeah, man. A little upset with Grind City. It cost me 2 games in a row here. I had a -11 last night. Was up 14. Thought they were going to run away with that and ended up winning the game by 8. So unfortunate. And then of course they got smacked in the fucking mouth against Sacramento at the crib by 30. But when you look at it, man, they're getting a lot of guys back. They're getting a lot of guys back. They haven't traveled since the 31st. They've been at home for the holidays, or for the New Year's weekend. They've been at home vibing. So I look at it, outside of Morant, and we know Morant did play, only been back, 7 basketball games now, I believe. Outside, he's the only one who played 35. He played 35 minutes. Everyone outside of that played less than 32. Got a lot of guys back, as I mentioned, with Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard coming back. So this bench gets a lot bigger. I don't think they have to be so reliant on the starting 5. And of course, without having Morant and Smart and all these injuries, you got guys like Williams and other guys playing bigger minutes. So I look for them to be more comfortable coming off the bench as well in the role that they play now. So I like the Grizzlies here. I mean, tough. They haven't covered in 4 of the last 5, and they haven't covered in 5 out of the last 6 at home. But I think this Grizzlies team will be trending upwards. They won 4 straight with Morant coming back. They maybe hit a little bit of window coming into Christmas and losing 3 straight there. Getting back to winning ways against San Antonio. I think that might get their legs under them a little bit here. And, obviously you lose a big addition with OG coming out. And then, they lose Precious Achiuwa too. 2 guys that played big minutes in the rotation. And you're bringing in a guy like Quickly who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot if you want him out there. And obviously RJ Barrett is going to try to make his name being back home. So 2 new additions to the lineup. And the Raptors really weren't a bet-on team as it was before that, especially on the road. 1-7 straight up, last 8 on the road. But they have had their way with Memphis. I just think this could be in a pick'em spot here. I think Memphis wins this basketball game. I look for Ja to have a big game. They really have absolutely nothing for him defensively. Triple J should be able to outwork Big Portal down there as well. So I like this Grizzlies roster a little bit more than Toronto at home. I'm going to go ahead and not worry about the back-to-back situation here. We get a better number because of that. Back to the grind. Memphis Grizzlies win this basketball game.
The Grizzlies, I will line shop for you, decide whether it's money line or spread. Dan Kelly said this off the top. He said Brooklyn, Orlando, OKC, and Memphis. OKC on the road, Memphis at home, are playing their 6th game in 9 days and 2nd of a back-to-back. New York Knicks, Dallas, and Phoenix all at home are playing their 6th game in 10 days. Of the 7 teams playing the 2nd game of back-to-back today, OKC and New Orleans Pelicans are going home to road. So it's an interesting spot here. Very, very, very interesting spot. And I'm sort of along with Dan where now we knew they'd get the bounce in game 1, but I want to watch this a little more here. And it's an interesting point that Dutch made with the Grizz, getting all these players back healthy again and figuring out their rotation. So let's take a look at what we have here. You could get the -1 at -107. Let's pull up the actual Pinnacle site here.
I really like what I've seen with Ja coming back. I haven't liked what I've seen as much the last 3 to 4 basketball games. They did what they're supposed to do last night and win, but they didn't cover, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Memphis with Ja, you got the best player on the court. You're at home. You can match them down low. I think Bane gets freed up an awful lot with Ja out there, and you got Marcus Smart to play some defense. You get more legs off the bench. I don't think the Grizzlies lose this basketball game.
Do you want -1 at -107 or the money line -112?
We'll do the 1.
-1 at -107 for the Grizzlies. Okay, we'll roll on. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, New Orleans Pelicans, 20-14, 8-7 on the road at the Minnesota Timberwolves, 24-8, 14-1 at home. We're at Target Center, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Both teams 3-2 over their past 5 games. Both teams in the bottom 10 in the league in pace over that period. The Pelicans, the 2nd slowest team in the NBA over the last 5 games, 97.27 possessions a game. Minnesota, not that much faster, 98.90 possessions a game. The chosen one is on the Wolves -6.5. let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Timberwolves minus 6.5, minus 105. They opened at 6.5, got up to 7, and are back at 6.5. There's been a 5-cent move towards the Timberwolves, but it hasn't moved off the number. From a total perspective here, we're sitting at 222.5. This opened up at 224.5. We have a 2-point move towards the under. When we get to the cash flow for this one, 82% of the tickets are on the over. Wow. We don't have any cash flow, but we know that this has moved pretty drastic, or not drastically, but a couple points towards the under. And from a spread perspective, you have 75% of the tickets and 70% of the cash on the Timberwolves. The line's not really moving. Okay, so Pelicans on the second half back-to-back after winning their third straight game, 112-85 at home over Brooklyn last night. 7 players in double figures. They've won 8 of 11 games since December 11th. Timberwolves had their 2-game winning streak snapped to 112-106 victory at the Knicks on Monday. Minnesota allowing 107.5 points per game, the best in the NBA. And then the elephant in the room is the Timberwolves after a loss, 7-0 undefeated. They've not lost 2 games in a row all season. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Pelicanos, Timberwolves.
Yeah, man. I was looking at this, and I said yesterday I was going to be on the Wolves full game, and maybe I should be. The Wolves lost to the Pelicans back here on December 11th by 14 in New Orleans. You're getting them off a loss against the Knickerbockers, as our boy Jim mentioned. Prior to that, they had won the 4 prior matchups against the Pelicanos. But OKC's kind of, Minnesota's kind of came back to reality a little bit. They're 1-4 ATS last 5 as a favorite. And the Pelicanos on the road, they've won 5 out of the last 6 on the road. As you mentioned, they've won 8 out of the last 11 basketball games. So I don't know. Maybe I'm stepping in front of a team that is playing good ball, coming off a start to finish smack spot, last night against Brooklyn, who a lot of people thought Brooklyn was going to show up. But I think Brooklyn is what they are. And I think the Pelicanos here, I don't know. They're going to keep me off of this game because of the way they're playing basketball. And I kind of want to bet these boys first half here. First half, Pelicanos have been good money to me. It's almost like an auto bet, goddammit. So it's hard for me not to go to the window with the Pelicanos first half. But I can see Minnesota bouncing back twos in this game. So I'm going to stay off of it. I expect a competitive basketball game. You can make cases for both sides, but if I had to bet it, it'd be Pelicanos first half.
Yeah, I think the fact that the Pelicans smash and grabbed last night is actually going to keep me off of them. And then I expect the Wolves to bounce back, but 75% of the tickets, 70% of cash, line not moving. I don't find that appealing at all. So I do find the under appealing. I don't know if I want to bet. I'm only going to bet an under if I have enormous conviction. 1 or 2 totals a week, and I don't think I have that here. So I'm not going to move on it. But I'll leave a lean to the under just so I can go over it again after the show. Let's move on. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Chicago Bulls 15-24 and 11 on the road. The New York Knicks 18-15, 9-4 at home. We're at Madison Square Garden. New York. Both teams 2-3 over the past 5. Chicago playing at the slowest pace in the NBA over that stretch, 97.1 possessions a game. The Knicks 2-3 playing at the 9th fastest pace, 100.60 possessions a game. Let's get into the line history here for this one. From a line history standpoint, we have the Knicks -9 and -105. Now, that's where they opened at Pinnacle. The Pinnacle didn't open this up till 6:42 this morning. -9, -105. So we've had an 8-cent move to the New York Knicks. That's it. 8 cents of movement to the Knicks. From a total standpoint here, we're sitting at a 220.5 juice to the under. This opened up at 218.5. So we've had a 2-point move towards the over. So let's get into the cash flow here for this spot. 52% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on the Knicks. 52 and 82. The line's not moving towards them. And then 70% of the tickets, 61% cash on the over. We're going to go up 2 points. Chicago on the second half, back-to-back after losing 110-97 to the Sixers last night. It was a very strange basketball game. It's just so difficult. I felt so bad for gamblers. The Bulls were down 43-18 at the end of the first quarter. So the Bulls missed their first 13 threes, whatever. But that's not. And so they went 18.9% from three. They're now 10-7 without Levine. Levine may be back within a week, unfortunately. But the Sixers were up 110-85 with 8 minutes, 11 seconds left. So I imagine that overbettors were looking to get paid. The Sixers did not score another point. 8 minutes and 11 seconds. I mean, imagine watching that. I mean, I just no points in 8 minutes and 11 seconds to finish off the game. Knicks snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 112-106 victory at home in OG Anunoby's Knick debut. Julius went for 39. Anunoby was everything that they dreamt of. You watch Anunoby, Gardant, Edwards, and then Cat, and then you realize what the Knicks have been missing, what Thibodeau is going to fall in love with. So, yeah, he goes 3 for 6 from 3 and 17 points, but that's not what's important. It's come playoff time. Can you have Anunoby defend the best player on the floor? So, take it away for us here. Bulls, Knicks, because I kind of have to think that the Bulls are capable of bouncing back. And did the Knicks, sort of blow their load in the first game with Anunoby? Take it away. I can't wait to hear you break down Madison Square Garden, New York, Dutch.
Yeah, man. I really like the addition of OG. He's clearly going to be the third best player on the team. He's a 3-and-D guy, and can get hot at times. He knocked down a big three there, which was big, good to see. As a competitor and as a fan of basketball, your first game in Madison Square Garden, New York or Minnesota's making a run. I think cut it to 6, cut it to 4 in the fourth quarter. And he's knocks down a big three to knock it to give him the 7-point lead. And they kind of went away to, the crowd went crazy, kind of went away with it from there. So good to see. He had a great debut, and I think he's the type of player you kind of just trickle right in and shit just improves. He don't need to have the ball in his hand. He's gonna lock down the best offensive player you got. So the Knickerbockers, I think, are in a nice spot here, and it's a really good addition in my opinion. An addition by subtraction as well, because RJ to me is not someone you want in your starting lineup. We talked about that. So, but on December 23rd, the Knicks lost to the Bulls at home as a 5.5-point favorite. They had won the prior 3 meetings, and they have covered 10 out of the last 14 basketball games against Chicago Bulls in New York. So I'm expected to get right back to that. The first half seems appealing as well at 5.5. You do get a Chicago Bulls team in a back-to-back, so you probably look full game here. Little tilted after Memphis not covering the 11 last night for me. So I don't know if I'm going to go right back to the window dropping double-digit spread. Probably the only reason I'm not on the Knicks here is I think Chicago beating them in their house last time, is going to remember that. Obviously, you have the Thibodeau factor going against his old team. And I think they're juiced the fuck up from this OG trade. I like what I've seen out of Julius Randle. He played one of his better basketball games against an elite one of the more elite defending teams in the league, and especially from the front court with Rudy Gobert down there. So I like it. I think everybody just gets better from OG being on that basketball team, and obviously the Knicks are going to be a better basketball team. So if I'm playing, I guess kind of like BJ in the chat said it, I'm laying.
I wish Kobe White didn't sprain his ankle last game. They say that he's okay, but still, I need him to be in complete control. I guess that's in the end. I guess that's going to keep me off of backing the Bulls. I feel like I'm very curious to see what both the Raptors and the Knicks do in this second game after the trade. But you have to think that the Bulls shoot better. Johnny Casey in that +9 is a gift. Chosen One says Kobe White is in. Yeah, he's in. They've said that he said that he's in. I'm just a little concerned about not having a real sense of what's going on. And then the Knicks all pumped up. This is a Bulls or no bet here, and I guess it'll just be no bet. Let's go back to that cash again. We have 52% tickets, 82% cash on the Knicks. So big bets coming in on the Knicks, but line not moving. It's 50-50 with the ticket price. I'm going to roll on. I will be producing the rest of the show, so let me know if I fall behind on any of these banners. Let's move on to the next spot on the board here, and it is 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Portland Trailblazers 9-23, 4-12 on the road. Dallas Mavericks 19-15, 8-7 at home. American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Portland 2-3 over the past 5, playing at 15th fastest pace, 100 possessions a game. It's all very tight around that because the Mavericks are only getting 1 possession more than them a game, and that's 6th in the league in pace. So a middling pace from both squads here. And the Mavs coming off that 3rd loss in 4 games, just a debacle at Utah on Monday night. I mean, they shot 39.8 from the field, 27.5 from 3. Luka held to 19 points. So is this a bounce back spot? You know, when you play against bad teams, you need to have motivation, and do they have it here? This total, the Mavericks, this total opened up at 234.5. It's just climbed and climbed and climbed. We're at 238, and we're juiced to the over. So a huge move towards the over. And then spread-wise, we have Dallas minus 11.5 and minus 106. They opened up minus 12. There's been a half-point move towards Portland. We take a look at the cash flow then for this spot. 68% of tickets, 53% of cash is on Dallas. So 32 and 47 on Portland. And total-wise, 60% of tickets and 93% of cash is on the over. Eric Jones looking at the under. Interesting spot. Portland comes in off its second loss, 3 games, 109-88 at Phoenix on Monday night. So both teams coming off embarrassments. Take it away for us, Dutch. Blazers, Mavericks, and just a quick look at the situation. Kleber and Exum are game time decisions. The issue really revolves around Portland. We know Ayton's out, Simon's game time decision, Reith is a game time decision, and Brown is a game time decision. So who is playing at center? You know, is it Moses Brown? Is it Reith? We know it's not Ayton. So you know, is it Baji? I mean, who the hell's going to be at center for the Blazers? Take it away, Dutch.
Yeah, man. This one's tough. First of all, it's Dallas or nothing. You know, obviously after losing by 37 points in Utah, you'd expect them to bounce back. But then I'm a little hesitant with the locker room issue. Maybe I don't know if there's locker room issues or not. But I mean, obviously, there's trickles that Kyrie might not be too happy. So if Kyrie's not too happy, we know what that can do to a locker room. So you know. I'm sure you guys seen that, you know, that little highlight of, you know, him wide the fuck open over there on the perimeter, and Luka, unfortunately, double teamed. It takes a step back 3. You know, you would expect Dallas to bounce back most definitely here. But what I don't like about it as well is 2 nights from now they play the same damn thing. They do it again in Dallas, Portland versus the Mavericks again in 2 nights. So I would, you know, that might be the better game to cap, Jim. You know, we'll get to see these boys play tonight, and as you say, we get them back to back. A little bit of edge to the capper. So heavy lean here to Luka and the boys. Expect them to smack these guys around. But Portland does have guys that can put the ball in the bucket, and Dallas has a tendency to you know, let teams hang around. So I've been played earlier this year, I believe, in Portland, and Dallas did get them by double digits. So, and it is a Dallas spot. So, you know, maybe Dallas isn't that bad of a look here. But I'm gonna stay off of it, see how they play, see how Kyrie and the boys are getting along, and maybe look here for round 2 on the 5th.
Yeah, both teams coming off embarrassments. I need to know who's in the lineup for Portland. It feels like, I mean, the first thing I went and looked at was what's the first quarter for Mavs, and it's -4. My ROI is, I try not to bet any first quarters over 2.5. So
Yeah, I'll be at home for a minute.
Yeah, that's an interesting note from Dan Kelly as well. Very interesting note from Dan Kelly as well. So no movement at this point. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. Clippers, Suns. If I got no action on these last 4 games, we'll have to do a quick double back on the 2 spots that I was interested in, which are the Nets and Raptors, which I'd prefer not to move on. 9 p.m. I am going to be on the Hawks, though. 9 p.m. Eastern. LA Clippers 20-12, 6-8 on the road at the Phoenix Suns, 18-15, 10-9 at home. We're at Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Clippers 3-2 over their past 5, playing the pace 99.1 possessions a game. Phoenix 4-1, playing the pace of 98.80 possessions a game. That's 20th and 23rd, respectively. And quick look at the situation here. Clippers healthy group and no KD for the Phoenix Suns. Booker and Beal, Maytu playing at the 4. So it's Booker, Beal, Grayson Allen, Maytu, and Nurkic. And the Clippers come in off their third straight win, 121-104 at home over the Heat on Monday. The Suns come in off their fourth straight win, 109-88 at home over the Blazers on Monday. Let's take a look at the line history here. Both teams with a similar rest situation. Phoenix sitting at +3.5. They opened at +3. They're now +3.5. A half-point move towards the clip show. And then from a total scenario, we're talking about a 232.5. It opened up at 233.5. This got down to 231.5 before there was a bit of buyback. So we have a half-point move towards the Clippers. From a cash perspective, you have 38% of tickets and 49% of cash on the under. And on the spread, we have 82% of the tickets and 94% of the cash. 82 and 94, and it's just a half-point move. Is this is this being overvalued, the idea of KD not being in the lineup here? 94% of cash on the Clippers and just a half-point move towards them. Take it away, Dutch. Very interested in your breakdown, Clippers Suns.
Yeah, man. I like the Suns here. I'm not going to rush to bet it. I think we might even be able to get a 4 out there, Jim. Everybody's going to bet the Clippers tonight, and it's a later game, so I don't have to rush, but I will be on the Suns. I just think there's too much value, overreaction. It's simple as that. I don't trust the Clippers. I think Nurkic is a nightmare matchup for Zubac and anyone else they want to throw out there. And this is where you want to fade the Clippers, is when everyone's on them. You got to, they're a road favorite. I don't trust James Harden and these boys. Absolutely not. And Devin Booker will be the best player on the court, in my opinion. I did bet over 27.5 points, -117. By the time I started the show, it already had moved to 137 at my book. So give me the best number on that, Jim. But I do like Devin Booker to explode tonight. Over 27.5 points. It's good money, man. Last 4 meetings versus these boys, averaging 26 points per game. 40 points per game, Jim. 40 points per game. He's averaged the last 4 meetings. He's averaging 26 points per game this year. 4-6 off a 4-16 performance, 10 points versus the Portland Trail Blazers. They won that basketball game, but it definitely wasn't due to Devin Booker. Off his worst performance of the year, 4-16 from the floor and only 10 points. Did chip in, though, was still playing basketball, had 8 rebounds and 7 assists. But he smacks these boys. They have absolutely nothing for him. He's comfortable when he sees LA. He lights the fuck up. He's going to drop another 40-piece tonight, over 27.5 points. Good money. And I just believe, the Suns with Bill back, he's playing now more confident. You still got 2 elite offensive players, and Devin Booker will show how good he is tonight. But I think Bill could, take up for a lot of points that KD doesn't have. He's very prolific, too, when he's not hurt. We haven't seen it that much, but he's getting more games under him. So I expect we see the Bradley Bill we've seen at Washington, who we know can drop 30, 35 at any time. So I do like the Suns here as in the dog, but for show right now, we'll lock in the Booker.
And that 27.5 available right now at Pinnacle -115, over 27.5 points on Booker. I like this look on the Suns, and I like the idea of waiting. I like all of this. I like all of this very much. I'm going to join you. I'm going to wait and be patient, but nice to know that I have a high possibility of having more action this evening. I'm being extremely choosy with everything, but have moved the unit size up, so it's all falling into place. It's okay to be choosy right now. We'll see what the record says at the end of the year and what my bankroll's like. Let's move on. Next up for us, 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Detroit Pistons 3-30. 1-16 on the road at Utah Jazz, 15-19, 10-5 at home. And look at that. BJ also on the Suns, +4.5 for his max bet. a lot of people ask me. I have friends from my youth who ask me, "What's BJ's best bet today?" Isn't that funny? It's so funny. It's so funny. The guys, they're not even, they're not real. They don't cap every day, but they
Yeah.
let me message what's BJ's best bet today. So I love that too.
That's funny.
Pistons, Jazz, Delta Center, Salt Lake City, Utah. Pistons come in off their 15th straight road loss, 136-113 at Houston on Monday night. It's a bad vibe in that locker room. Utah 4-1 over the past 5, 100.7 possessions a game. 8th fastest in the NBA. That 101.58 is 4th fastest in the NBA over that stretch. Jazz coming off their second straight victory, 127-90 at home over the Mavericks on Monday night. This is not a situation where, you find the Jazz appealing, feeling so good about themselves after that big victory. We have a healthy Jazz team now. So, it's no real surprise that they're starting to roll. For the Pistons, Stewart and Morris are out. Line history wise, let's get into this from a spread situation. We have the Pistons at plus 8.5 minus 105. They opened up at plus 7. They opened up last night, 7:36 p.m. plus 7. Within 10 minutes, it was plus 8. Then it moved to 8.5 at 11 p.m. And then it's just stuck at 8.5. So 1.5 point move towards the Jazz. From a total perspective, we're sitting at 240. This opened up at 239, got up to 240, dropped back to 238.5 before we are at 240. So a slight move to the over. Woo Rizza saying Pistons coming into elevation. Jarek White on the Jazz minus 8.5. Woo Rizza looking at the Jazz team total over. And Brent Cook saying the Pistons are an auto fade. Final score from Brent Cook, though, Jazz 123, Pistons 116, which would give the Pistons the cover. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. 55% of tickets, 78% of cash on the Jazz. Lines moved a 1.5 towards them, so that all makes sense. Totals wise, 53% of tickets and 64% of cash on the under. We did see a brief move to the under before it started moving to this over. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Do you have any interest in the Jazz after that 37-point victory at home on Monday night? Do you have any interest on this Pistons team that is the laughingstock of the sports world?
Absolutely not. When I looked at this game yesterday, look at the line was like 6.5. It hadn't hit the board yet. Obviously, you said it hit at 7. Maybe that's right where I would be at. I was thinking I was thinking, man, if I get the 6 by minus 120, I'd be all over Utah. I don't really like to go anything over 6.5, 7, to be quite honest with you, especially with teams like this. Where Utah, they're playing great. They're the better team. They're one of the better teams at home, maybe the best team at home. I believe they're 12-3 against the number after crit this year, Jim. So Utah's. We talked about the other day. They were a 3-point dog against Dallas. Line made absolutely no sense, and they smacked them by 30. So maybe they're feeling high and mighty, but I like Utah's roster right now. They got guys that can put the ball in the bucket all the way around. From the starters to the bench, marking is real nice. Somebody in the chat that team total over. I'm not mad at that look because it seems like Utah could just pick the number against Detroit. They're checked the fuck out. They got the monkey out their back by winning that basketball game against Toronto, and I expect Detroit to continue to lose basketball games. If I had to play this game, it would be Utah, but I'm not really in the business of laying that big of a number with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, especially after them feeling so good about themselves.
Yeah.
Whether or not we can trust the Pistons to show any heart or character, I mean, obviously that's a long shot. I get why it's an uncomfortable spot. Let's move on to an interesting one here. 10 p.m. Eastern, Miami Heat 19-14, 10-8 on the road. At the LA Lakers 17-17, but 11-4 crypto. Both teams playing right around the same pace. Miami 3-2 over the past 5, playing the pace 99.50 possessions a game, while the Lakers 2-3 over the past 5, playing the pace 100.6 possessions a game. Butler and Highsmith are out. Martin and Richardson are game time decisions. Vincent and Hachimura are out. And then Russell, Reddish, LeBron, and the Brow, all game time decisions. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Heat coming off their second straight loss, 121-104 at the Clippers on Monday night. They mean in LA, which is not a good place, for players to be just resting. The Lakers coming off their second straight loss in third and 4 games, 129-109 of the Pelicans on the Sunday night. They got to be an angry group. North Ender says Blaine Gabbert starting for the Chiefs. Look, I'm already on the Chargers, which is the last thing that I want to be doing. I'm already on them. So Blaine Gabbert, I dare you. I dare you to fucking take my money. Let's take a look at the line history here in this one. We have the Lakers sitting here at -5.5, -106. This opened up at 5.5, got up to 6. Back. Oh, it's actually moved back to 6. Moved back 6 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago, we moved back to 6, so a half-point move towards the Lakers. From a total side of things, we're sitting at a 228.5, a -110 to the over. It's opened up at 226.5, now at 228.5, 2-point move towards the over. So let's take a look at the cash here. From a cash perspective, we have the 71% of the tickets and 80% of cash on the Lakers. We now have a half-point move towards them. 25% of the tickets and 47% cash on the over. Do we, market-wise here, and now it's 11 a.m. out west, we have to think that the Brow and LBJ are going to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
So that seems the game time is what Andrew G's calling them. And they're an angry group. They're playing bad basketball against an undermanned Heat squad. Take it away, Dutch. Is this a Lakers spot?
I believe it is the Lakers spot, but I don't trust the Lakers whatsoever. LBJ points. Every time I seem to go to window with that, it seems to hit. But big card today. It's Lakers or nothing here. So many question marks. I don't like what I see out of the Lakers, but somehow they covered 4 out of the last 6 basketball games, and 4 out of the last 6 versus the Heat. They've covered. And you got obviously, LBJ going against, his old team, Miami. That factors in. You'd expect the boys to rally around, the King and find a way to beat Miami. I think this could be a close basketball game. I think this number is pretty sharp, though, Jim. So I don't want to lay 6, 5.5 with the LA Lakers. I expect them to win it. Somehow Miami just seems to play up. Whether who's in the lineup against a decent basketball team, they seem to hang in there. Whether it be Duncan Robinson knocking down threes, Kyle Lowry will get hot. And this Yami kid, obviously going back home, probably where you would want to look. The rookie from UCLA going back to LA. Does a little bit of everything. Obviously, I don't believe Butler is going to be in the lineup, so you're going to see a lot of minutes from him. Bam should be able to get his too going against AD. So if I'm looking to bet this basketball game, it's probably going to be Bam points and rebounds, or Yami points, rebounds, and assists, because he does a little bit of everything. So I like that from a Miami perspective. And realistically, the Lakers, man, I don't like the basketball team. They can't shoot threes, but they'll find a way to win this basketball game, in my opinion. But I think the trickling's been, around going through the locker room. They're trying to move D'Angelo. He's not comfortable there. Guys know that they're going to be moved. So I'm not gonna be betting this Lakers team here. I do believe this roster won't be the same here in a couple weeks.
It's too bad the Heat are coming off a shellacking as well. It would make it much easier if they beaten the Clippers.
Yeah, they got smacked. The Clip, yeah.
North Ender says -6 now. LeBron's at shoot around. It's probably a sharp line. BJ says he watched the post-game interviews. They said there was a sense of urgency coming from Reeves. AD and Braun seemed frustrated after that replay of the late 3 by James. Ultimately, a backwood. He says he doesn't trust the Lakers. They don't even know their fucking rotations, and Ham is ass. Ron Crawford says Miami a good road team, and they bounce back. Michael Buono looking at Miami first half +3. Says Miami's been a monster first half, 6-1 against the spread first half, the last 7 games. And then Perky, our guy Perky, is taking the Lakers for the Spank Me Mommy play of the day. So if those of you who are wondering what is the Spank Me Mommy play of the day, it's the Lakers.
The Lake Show.
We move on, 10 p.m. Eastern. This is our final game on today's show. We will do a review of all action. I really thought I'd have more action here, which is a little concerning. I want action, which means I may end up having to move on Brooklyn. 10 p.m. Eastern, Orlando Magic 19-13, 7-9 on the road at Sacramento Kings 19-13, 11-6 at home, where the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. Orlando 3-2, 100.1 possessions a game. Sacramento 2-3, 98.8 possessions a game over that stretch. Now, if I'm going to move on the Suns late And if I have a spot here, then I can probably cut that Brooklyn spot. Let's take a look at the situation here. We have, move over here. We have Sacramento, a healthy team, 19-13 right now. That future I have on them is gross. I can't even remember. It's 36-1, I think it is. 36-1, 38-1, just to win the West. I hope that's live. All you want that is to be live after the first round. Orlando with Fultz, Slow-Mo Joe, and Isaac out here is the situation for them. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have Sacramento as 5-point favorites. Opened up at 5.5. We have a half-point move towards the Orlando Magic. Let's get into the total here for this one. We opened up at 233.5. Now that was the bet online opener. See what Pinnacle opened this up at 232, dropped all the way down to 230.5. Not all the way, but a point and a half. Now it's at 231. So we have a 1 point drop towards the under. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this spot, our final spot on the board. 40% of the tickets and 47% of the cash on the Orlando Magic. I'm finding that appealing. We have 47% of the tickets, 64% cash on the over. Both teams are on the second half of a back-to-back. Magic come in after suffering their second straight loss in third and 4 games, 121-150 in Golden State last night. The Kings had their modest 2-game winning streak snapped in a 111-104 loss at home to Charlotte last night. That's a pretty ugly situation for God, I wish. How could you fade Sacramento after the debacle? I don't know how you can. God, Sacramento's got to bounce back. It's too bad. Let's hear what you have to say about this spot, Dutch. Take it away, Magic Kings.
Yeah, man, this one's clear to me. Like the motherfucking bean, Sacramento gonna handle business. They're gonna come in pissed the fuck off. They just lost as 11. I believe they were 15, 16-point favorites last night. Lose outright to the motherfucking bummy ass Charlotte Hornets, who had some late scratches. I believe Rozier was in. Brandon Miller scratched out. It didn't matter, man. 15, 16-point dogs, you win outright. Come on, man. You gonna wake up a little bit different. You don't sleep as tight as you would. Even if they just get out of there with the win, it's okay. But you lose at the crib against Charlotte Hornets. Come on, man. They pissed the fuck off. They have won 4 straight meetings versus Orlando. Last 3 by an average of 11 points per game. And the Magic can get back to reality a little bit, like the Brooklyn Nets. They're 3-7 straight up last 10. Overall, I think this team sometimes they can't buy a fucking 3-pointer. I just do not trust this team from the perimeter. They got guys that can put the ball in the bucket, and Banchero's a stud. But outside of that, I just don't really like a team that can't really knock down a consistent 3-point shot. Magic, as I mentioned, have lost 7 out of the last 10, 4-9 against the Sacramento Kings last 13 meetings overall, and they're 2-5 as a dog. The Magic are the last 7 as a dog. So I look at Sacramento gonna be pissed the fuck off. Small number here. I'm gonna take first half full game. I think they blow these boys out. I think De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, one of the best combos we got going right now. De'Aaron Fox, the best clutch player in the league, carries that over from last year. It's no fluke. Nobody can guard him. Him and Sabonis have big games. Keegan Murray from the corner, Harrison Barnes. It's gonna be a complete team effort because they already got embarrassed last night. So look for them all to bounce back here. Sacramento Kings, big.
And Ron Crawford saying they're going to win by 7 here tonight. This line is moving towards these Orlando Magic. So first off, we can give you that 4.5 at -111.
And another thing with, the Magic lost to the Warriors last night. The Warriors have not been playing good basketball. That's not a loss that, like, you say, oh, that's the Golden State Warriors. That's not a good loss right now. The Warriors are a struggling basketball team. They had a tough competitive game against Phoenix. We're down double digits per majority of the game. Then they go to Golden State, lose outright. And I expect them to get right out the gym tonight.
Let's give you this. You have some options on the first half. Do you want the Kings -2 first half at -114 or -2.5 at -103?
We'll do the 2.5.
-2.5 at -103. So Dutch has the Kings first half -2.5, -103. Full game -4.5 at -101. And so let's go over all action, and we'll finish off with Dutch's double up here. So we have nothing on Wizards, Cavs, although there was, a lean towards the Cavs. Bucks, Pacers, a lean towards the Bucks, but I'm comfortable staying off of it. I'm going to be on the Atlanta Hawks tonight. I'm going to bet that. Dutch is on the Rockets -5, and the spreadsheet play days Rockets -5.5. And I'm sitting here with not enough action and interested in the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if I move on them. I'll make that decision here in a little bit. I need to have the conviction to go up against you guys, and I don't have that right now. So I'll sit with it a little longer. Dutch is on the Grizzlies -1 at -107. So I'll cut the Raptors from my action. I have a lean to this under in New Orleans Pelicans, Minnesota Timberwolves. Let me ask you this, Dutch. Is there going to be a playoff type feel of this basketball game? Are they going to be? Yeah.
I do. I think so. These teams are going to know they're going to be seeing each other. They're pretty evenly matched, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, the edge goes to Minnesota. I believe Edwards is probably the best player, and they're at home. And you can't really rely on Zion. But this is definitely going to be two teams going at it. So I like where you were thinking in the under, not too big in the totals, but if I'm betting the unders, I do like, betting on Minnesota and the Pelicanos. Both teams are teams that can lock down when they need to.
So I'm going to sit with that a little longer, and maybe I want to have 3 or 4 games of action, and I not feeling like I'm forcing it. I just, with this huge card and having you on the show and the cappers in the chat, I should be able to find spots I really like. Bulls, Knicks, we've stayed off, as we did with Blazers, Mavericks. Dutch is on Booker over 27.5 points at -115. That's available right now at Pinnacle. And BJ is on Best Bet, Suns +4. That's a 5-unit bet for BJ. And both Dutch and I are going to wait on the Suns. We're interested in the Suns. Pistons, Jazz, we stayed off. Heat, Lakers, we stayed off. And then Dutch closes out his card with the double up on the Kings. First half -2.5 and full game -4.5. JP Taylor says, I'm worried for your Hawks pick, Jimmy. It looks like Hawks spot, but they're terrible. That's where I want it to be. I will succeed more if everybody's on the other side. Not one person said Hawks. They're not covering. They're not winning. And they're playing bad basketball. So, and look, Brent Cook saying I would never take the Hawks against OKC. Being in capping NBA for a long time, I find that my ROI is higher if everybody's on the other side. Now, you have to have the conviction to make the bet. And that is another thing that really helps, because you're like, you know what? I don't care that everybody thinks the Hawks are trash. It is a situational spot. The Thunder are a much better basketball team, but here you have the Thunder last night beating the mighty Celtics at home, and it's just a fishy line. And look, we're not trying to win every game. We're trying to hit at 60%, something that Dutch was almost the first guest I've ever had do, not last year, but the year before. The 59.6% is the highest against the spread I've ever had of any guest in my 6 years of career of doing this publicly. So, and it's fun, and there's no animosity. That's one thing that needs to be clear from all of us. When you go up against somebody that you respect, you're not saying I don't like your cap or I don't respect. Nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It just adds another layer of intrigue only. North Ender says Hawks and Raps is what he is looking at. And I've had great, my ROI on Wednesdays with Dutch is through the roof. So, you take all the information somebody can offer you and then you use it into your capping, and that's how we work it here. So and Dan Kelly said he will be on the Hawks, but he's going to wait till halftime or later. And Elio woke up with Brooklyn and the Hawks on his mind. And DC Capper says that he doesn't like Atlanta or Brooklyn, and I should save my money. If I saved my money, I wouldn't be up double-digit units in NBA, DC. But thank you for caring about me. That is our show here for today. Now, we have a huge show tonight. We've got Last Call at 6 p.m., and it leads into our brand new big time live bet show that I do very much want to be a part of as we move forward. All about the hoops. All about the hoops. I believe I have it here. Here we go. All about the hoops, baby. Dutch focusing on NBA, Daby focusing on college basketball, and then just a litany of great guests. NBA cappers, the Brizzies and the LJs of the world going to be rolling with these guys. So please support our new show. It means a ton to us. And Dutch, thank you for rolling with us. What a monster card we had to deal with. You handled them so easily. So thank you for your time and energy. Crush it tonight. Get that cash. Please follow Dutchy on X as well at Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutch, any last words for the Capper supporting the show?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Jim. As always, everyone in the chat. Appreciate y'all. And we will be debuting the new JPZ did bless us with the intro for All About the Hoops. Gonna have gonna have Jose put it on a little something for us, little man. Appreciate you, and we'll debut that tonight. So shout out to JPZ and all the real ones, man. We'll see you tonight, 7:15 Eastern time. Y'all stay fresh.
There he is, our guy Dutch Boy Fresh in the house. All right, let's review all action here on our first show of 2024. Thank you guys for rolling with us. We have nothing, truly no show without you guys. Ron Crawford, NHL spreadsheet play today is on the New Jersey Devils. I am on. Oh, thank you, DC. Thank you, my man. Respect. So I'm also on the New Jersey Devils. This is not a bet on New Jersey. This is a fade of Washington. I'm going to try to fade Washington as much as possible while their record is still decent, because I do not believe it will be decent by the end of the year. CMAX on the over 6.5 minus 127. We had some information coming in from who was it? We had and BJ saying this line is all over the Hawks, but he's off. As a professional gambler, he says you can't bet OKC in this spot. And JP Taylor says got to have the onions to play these Hawks. I like all of that. And we had someone come in, and I don't know how I've lost it, but we had somebody come in and give us the issue with the Ducks, that there's a sickness going through the dressing room right now for the Ducks. I can't find it. But that is going on. And our guy Wild Hound says all aboard the Luke Littler train. Minus 110 to win the night in the darts championship, the World Dart Championship. Jesus, that sounds like fun. I'm going to copy and paste that. Make sure I can get it live. When does that pop off, Wild Hound? God, that just if I send that to Peter Loshak, he'll be the happiest guy in all of Brooklyn. This is the stuff that Pete wants to back, is these World Dart Championships. I love it, Wild Hound. Thank you for sharing that here. Much love, BJ, and much love to all of you guys. And Ron Crawford says, let me say this, no one is here to change your pick. The advice we give is our opinion should only be considered if you're leaning. Everyone, don't change your capping style. We all have success. That was well put. Well put. 315 for us. He took it last night, says the odds might have changed. Thank you, Wild Hound, my friend. And we are only 5 months away from the Kentucky Derby. That's that soon. So let's review all action here. CMAC on the over 6.5 in Leafs Ducks. Then in college basketball, the chosen one gave us Georgia Tech plus 4.5, George Mason first half minus 1.5, High Point money line, Nebraska minus 5.5, and Army Lafayette first half under 58.5. CMAC gave us Georgia Tech plus 4.5, Miami plus 103 with a lean to the over. Missouri State minus 2.5. Ron Crawford, Missouri State money line is NCAA spreadsheet play today. CMAX on the under 138 minus 115 in Stanford UCLA. I'm going to join them on that one. And then the taint play of the day is USC minus 7. CMAX on the over 150.5 in Cal USC. Justin McKelvey gave us the Providence over 136.5 for the stacks play today. Cabs on Providence minus 5.5 minus 117. Daby's on Miami first half plus a half minus 105. Mikey Money joined us. Give us Providence minus 6. The over 135.5 in Mercer East Tennessee State. Nova minus 8.5. VCU minus 5 and NC State minus 5 on both of those. And Stanford plus 4.5. Stanford plus 4.5. So there we go. That is our show for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget, we have our confidence pool. That information is all going to be up and at 'em here for you guys. $50 entry. It's really fun. You guys can tell us if you like it or not. If you don't, there's other types of playoff pools we can have, but this is a really fun one. Again, there's 13 spots. You have the 13. That's your most confident. That gives you 13 points. You have no chance of winning or being in the money if you don't cash your most confident spots. I mean, often in these pools, because it's just a win-loss, often you kind of have to sweep the board to guarantee that you are in the cash. But it happens quite often. But you have to start strong with that first 6 games on wildcard weekend. You decide whether you want it on the 13 slot, 12, 11, 10. The 1 slot's just 1 point. The 5 slots, 5 points. And then, of course, 13 is 13 points. So that will be up and at 'em on our website here as well. We also want to thank everybody again for being a part of our poker tournament. It meant a ton to us that you guys were there. Also, we have our Cappers Contest show. Tomorrow, and things are heating up in an enormous way. This is exactly what we were hoping for when we did the Cappers Contest. We have 3 players tied, and there are 3 of our friends tied, and then Visa Joe right behind them. And there's some cash up for grabs here. So we have right now, these are the 3 players tied atop the standings. First, it's Guillermo Zertucci, and then Sharpie. Come on, why is it still spinning around? Give me the information. I know that Visa Joe is a half point behind. Oh, come on. You're not going to give it to me? Sorry, it's just spinning around here, the Cappers Contest standing. But we have 3 players tied and going into the final 5 games of the year. So we're really excited. Oh, here we go. So we have Guillermo Zertucci, Rushia, and Sharpie all tied at 50.5. And then Visa Joe a half point back. So these 4 cappers are, going to be working with $6,000 to see who, and the one who wins gets over half of that. So exciting stuff here in our Cappers Contest. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. Happy 2024. Happy New Year to you guys. Let's continue from right where we left off. December was my best month of the year in 2023, and I want to keep that going here in 2024. And if that means my volume is down a little bit, that's fine. All that matters is ROI and unit size going up, and I finally got to jump up my unit size here on January 1st. So these are important days as unit sizes jump. Thank you guys. Dan Kelly, Jay's Final Take, JP Taylor. JP Taylor says Luke Littler now plus money at DraftKings. Dan Kelly, thank you for all your hard work in the chat, man. I love capping with you. Jay's Final Take, The Chosen One, North Ender, Blue Numbers, Kent Davies, Wild Hound, Ron Crawford, BJ, Brent Cook, Philly Eagle, Flyer, Jarek White, DC Capper, Mr. Chin. Thank you guys. Christopher Comentini, The Truth Teller. All of you guys, thank you so much. Rodney Barton and Von Polo, Scarminati, Q Media, Fanatical Jim, Michael Buelna, Johnny K, and one more shout out to Elio and Mike Nutflush Allen, thinking about you guys in these tough times and watching you guys lead by example. Just know that you're not alone. We're right by your side. We're not physically with you, but we are right by your side. Let's go out there and get that cash. Leche. Los Bookmakers. Let's fucking go.
Pub Sports Radio's the crew, that's a fact. We all about bread, making bank accounts fat. Who the hell is that? LJ from the H, I stack green like Boston. Shout out to Nasty Nate from down south, where we ride on slab. 420 highway smoking with that boy Daby Cab. Swing by Dallas with them Cowboy fans so we can smoke out J Money, cause you know that's our mans. Us against the bookies, put money in our pockets. Fly out to Vegas, meet up with Ski Profit. Hit the sports books, we got money to stack. Can't forget them college picks with that boy Conor Mac.